Mr. Everything lived up to his name. He rushed for over 2,000 yards.
Direct snap to Drummond, and he'll have the first down.
He had over 1,600 yards receiving.
Sidearms it for Drummond, and Drummond has the catch.
And he scored 35 touchdowns.
There's no problem there. Here's Robert Drummond. Good night. Robert Drummond.
But wait, there's even more. He helped the Argos to back-to-back Grey Cups. He rushes, he catches, he scores. How much would you pay for an all-purpose running back like this? If you're the BC Lions, you paid more than Toronto. And if you're Robert Drummond, you'll try to recover from a slow start against your old team. Next. The Lions Gate Bridge in Vancouver, and tonight two teams trying to cross a bridge. The Lions and Argos both looking for W #1 of this young season. Evening, everybody, and welcome to Week 3 of CFL football on TSN. My name is James Duthie, and you know, I think we're setting a record tonight for earliest use of the term must win. That has been the talk somewhat in Toronto this week, but especially in BC. And Eric Tillman, you've been the general manager in both these cities. How can we expect you to be objective tonight?
Well, it's simple, James. I'm going to root for whichever team has the ball. Seriously, I know this is a big game for both teams. Neither of them want to go 0-3. But I think tonight you have to give the advantage to Toronto because of two key areas, defense and special teams. I think if they could dominate in those two areas and allow a young offense to play on a short field, then I think Toronto wins, Chris.
And you know, Eric, I agree with your assessment. You look at these two football teams after 2 games. The Toronto Argonauts, I thought, made a quantum leap in improvement as compared to the BC Lions. The BC Lions, basically, they kind of flatlined, or you could say they kind of went on a downward spin comparing those 2 games. I think Toronto will have the ability to create drives, sustain drives, gain points. BC, on the other hand, they've got to make some big plays, and they have to eliminate the mental errors that lead to change of possessions, James. That's the critical issue with the BC Lions.
All right, not enough big plays for either of these teams so far this season. For more on the game, here are our Rod Smith and Glenn Suter in Vancouver.
Thank you, James. The Argos and Lions have stumbled out of the gate because their offenses have been poor so far, and especially disappointing, I would think, Glenn, for Adam Rita, who's counting heavily on a couple of ex-Argos stars this year.
Absolutely. Adam Rita in the press conference yesterday made reference to Michael Jordan of the Chicago Bulls, obviously the Bulls' go-to guy. He sees the basketball about 40 times a game, and he said, we have to get the football here in BC to our go-to guys, and they are Robert Drummond and Jimmy the Jet Cunningham. Both guys need to be involved more in the offense. Drummond needs to carry it between 20 and 30 times out of the backfield, and Jimmy the Jet Cunningham obviously has to be involved in the passing game. But it's one thing to draw up plays that involve these two players, but they also have to execute. Neither player has scored a touchdown yet this season. When they get the football in their hands, they have to make it happen for BC to be successful.
As far as the Argo offense goes, I would think it's more understandable. Kerwin Bell is supposed to be the starting quarterback, but got hurt in the preseason. How about Jay Barker, and how much do you think he's improved in the first 2 games that he's played?
Well, first of all, it's tough in the CFL, especially for a rookie quarterback to have success right away. Jay Barker's been thrown into the fire, and when you consider that 2 months ago he had never seen a CFL football game, I think he's progressed quite well. He played very well last week against the Calgary Stampeders. In fact, Toronto very nearly won that game. He's improved each time out, and he will continue to improve. He has to have a great night tonight.
Well, the Argos lost a close one to Calgary last week, and for the first time since Don Matthews came back to Toronto in '96, they've lost 2 straight. The last time a Don Matthews team lost 3 in a row was when he was the head coach of the BC Lions back in 1987. James?
All right, thanks, guys. It's a busy night in the CFL. 3 games
in total. Saskatchewan leading Edmonton 7-0. Don Narcisse catching the touchdown pass from Reggie Slack. And the Alouettes, Tracy Ham has hit Eddie Brown and Matt Cody with TD passes. They lead 14-1 over Calgary in a battle of 2-0 teams. Damon Allen and the Lions set to take on the Argos, both trying to avoid going 0 for 3. That's a bad night in baseball, but it's an awful month in football.
Welcome back to BC Place in Vancouver. Rod Smith and Glenn Suter, and Week 3 of the Canadian Football League already underway earlier tonight. As you heard, Saskatchewan and Edmonton, and it is Don Matthews in a rare situation in his coaching career, 0-2 to start the season. And you got to wonder, a team coached by him, how long that trend can continue. As mentioned before, he only lost 3 in a row back in 1987. It has been that long, and it's a case of the mentor against the protege. Adam Rita would agree to that. Of course, brought into the CFL in 1983 by Don Matthews. They coached here in BC. They coached together in Toronto twice. And Adam Reid, of course, head coach of the Toronto Argonauts back in 1991 when they won the Grey Cup. And Damon Allen, who has got a little bit of criticism, Glenn, for the way that the offense has got going, but Adam Rita says be patient because he is playing well.
He is playing well. He's protecting the football. No turnovers, no interceptions from Damon Allen this year, much like he started last season. But when I talked to him before the game, the point that he wanted to make to me is we have to punch it in the end zone. We get down there, we got to stop having those bad penalties and get that football in the end zone, put some points on the board. So he may just take it into his own hands when they get close in this one.
Well, the Lions won the toss, and they will take the ball first off. So Damon Allen will get to work very quickly in this game. They met twice last year, these two teams, and the Argos won both of them. So Adam Rita had been saying it is his turn to beat his mentor. And so the Argos in their whites will be kicking off to the left of your screen, and the Lions with Al Shipman and Jimmy the Jet Cunningham, the ex-Toronto Argonaut, back to accept this kick as a flag is down right away against the Argonauts as Noel Prefontaine was about to step into the football.
Well, that's interesting. I hope that's not an indication of things to come. A penalty before we even started the
Toronto, number 1.
play of game. Took too long to get it kicked off.
I can't say I've seen this before.
No. Well, Prefontaine, he's obviously a rookie in the league this year, and he probably didn't even hear that whistle because you only have 20 seconds once the whistle's blown to kick the football off.
So instead of the 30, it goes back to the 25-yard line as Prefontaine does get this game underway. Coming down and on the run, the Jet takes it at his 30-yard line. Jimmy Cunningham cuts up the middle, and he's down across the 40 to the 43-yard line. So Damon Allen and the Lions will have a good place to go to work. The offense for BC, Damon Allen, a lot of talent with Al Shipman now playing at running back along with Robert Drummond, and Jim Sandusky, who is actually the receivers coach, filling in for Mike Trevathan, who is hurt, playing in his third game. And up front, Dan Payne, ex-Argo last year, one of the 3 Argo linemen no longer with Toronto, moving on. Mike Kiselak being another one, the all-star center for Toronto. Allen rolls right on first down, throws it out. He has Shipman complete, and a first down across midfield. The kind of start the Lions want and really need to get some offensive momentum going.
Well, it's a good way to start, and they're going to have to beat Michael O'Shea in the middle of that Argo defense. The newcomer up front will be Jermaine Haley, and in the secondary, pretty much the same group that played last week versus Calgary. Byron Capers is the rookie starting in his third game at halfback.
Gain of 16 on the play as they hand off to Drummond. He gets across the 50 into the Argo 48-yard line, 3-yard pickup.
All right, you know what I liked about the BC Lions' first call was Damon Allen rolled out with the football. In my conversation with him earlier today, he was talking about the fact that he wants to run the ball more, and that doesn't mean just scrambling. Roll out to your left, roll out to your right. Keep stretching the defense at the corners, and Damon Allen started in play 1 tonight.
In the cases where he's not on, as you look at Brad Yamoka, the injured player,
That's Brad Yamoka right there, and just take a look at how he gets hurt. He's right in the mix, and that's the one you don't want to see. That's you get rolled on the knee. Yikes. Brad Yamoka is one of the key special teams players for the BC Lions. Had a big block in Jimmy the Jet's Cunningham's touchdown against the Edmonton Eskimos. He blocked 2 guys on the play and actually sprung the Jet for the 82-yard touchdown. He is a stud on these special teams, and they can ill afford to lose him.
One of the local products for Adam Rita's BC Lions coming out of UBC, and Rita has said before, talking yesterday, probably the most disciplined player he has on the team, speaks very highly of him, and the role that he plays as a backup running back, but also, as you mentioned, Glenn, the job he does on special teams, up and encouraging to see with hardly a limp, really. Favoring that right leg a bit heading off the field.
Yeah, that's amazing that he even got up, because we all saw how that knee got twisted underneath the pile, and he looks like he can shake this one off.
It is 2nd and 7 in Argo territory. Damon Allen has the Lions on the move, but flags are out everywhere. An early start for BC. The Lions have been hurt by penalties in the past, particularly 2 weeks ago against Edmonton. Every big play they had, it seemed, ended up being nullified.
Yeah, and
procedure, BC number 9, still 2nd down.
Last week as well, they had some problems with the legal procedure calls. In fact, on 2 short yardage 3rd down gambles, they had procedure calls and had to punt the football. And Adam Rita has tried to address the problem. He definitely hates those penalties after the play, and he's trying to address that by fining the players if they do that from now on.
Out of the shotgun on 2nd and long now, off to the side to Ship across the 50, but that's as far as he goes, so it'll set up 3rd down and long for the Lions.
Well, they had a long way to go, and it's a smart play to just dump it behind. See if Shipman can break one, and if he doesn't, you punt the football and keep the field position battle on your side. It's important to keep Toronto bottled up in their end, especially with rookie Jay Barker playing quarterback. Make him drive the length of the field.
So Louis Pasaglia, with a chance of Lou coming out here at BC Place, averaging 43.5. Pretty good for a 44-year-old in his 23rd season. And he gets it down to Lester Smith at the 5, and Smith is out of bounds. Deep in Argo territory, just gets it across the 10. A 44-yard punt and a 6-yard return for the safety, Lester Smith. And a look at Jay Barker, product of Alabama and the leading receiver in the Crimson Tide history and leading this offense. Nigel Williams in there, number 82, coming over this week in a trade with the Montreal Alouettes. And Mike Pinball Clements, of course, playing in the backfield now, too. And a revamped offensive line now. Chad Folk starting at center. They lost 3, and they made an addition at right tackle with Dwayne Morgan, putting him in. The import at tackle, he and Willie Williams. It's 1st down for Barker. And a flag down with early movement again. And a short gain. The flags are falling early in this ball game now, this time going against the Toronto Argonauts.
Defensively for the BC Lions, in the middle you get Bruce Dixon.
Offside.
The newcomer is Troy Bailey at the rush end, replacing Virgil Robertson. And in the secondary, the same group that finished the game in Edmonton, Andre Strode and Glenn Rogers at the halfback, Rashid Gale and Steve Mohammed at the corners, and Dale Joseph at free safety. And my mistake, it was offside against BC, so a 1st and 5 up and around the 18-yard line for the Argos. And Jay Barker, and handing off. Pinball Clements gets across the 20 over the 25-yard line for an Argo 1st down. Well, pretty good job up front by the Argo offensive line to open up a hole for Pinball. He just hits it up in there, and there's a little crease for him, and you know over the past years that he only needs a little crease, and he can squirt through and pick up some pretty good yards. Back at running back now. Of course, ideally, Don Matthews always liked to use him as a slot back, catching passes and running with the ball instead of handing it off to him. But good gain there, a gain of 9 and a 1st down into the shotgun. Barker, Dimitrition has it. Dwayne Dimitrition across the 30-yard line and up to about the 33 for the Argos. Well, nice job by Jay Barker. He really looks poised and did last week against Calgary. He just steps up in there in the shotgun, no backs behind him. Fires a strike to Dimitrition underneath.
So Barker's got something going early on here. A 2nd down and 4. Argo's on the move and hands off again to Pinball Clements again, but does not get the first down. Gets across the 35 to about the 36-yard line. He'll be slightly shy. A gain of 3.
Well, Pinball Clements, obviously with Robert Drummond in BC this year, is going to get the ball more, like you said, Rod, from the backfield position. The only thing about that is that Pinball is not a young man anymore. When you get out there in space and can catch some passes in the open area, that's one thing. But when you're getting banged in the middle by middle linebackers all season long, it can wear on you a little bit. And, you know, they want to keep Pinball in that lineup.
And just shy of the first down, it'll be 3rd down. But yeah, Pinball Clements, though, still racking up some pretty good numbers, receiving yards as well for the Argos. Has always been a favorite of Don Matthews, who coached him in 1990 when he was Player of the Year in the Canadian Football League. And he has, as you mentioned, tried to alleviate some of the stress on him as he does get older, keep him off special teams. And that was a priority when Matthews arrived in '96, when they got a guy by the name of Jimmy the Jet Cunningham to take some of the stress off Pinball. And that worked out pretty nicely. So here we go with a gamble. 3rd and less than a yard. And Barker keeps it, and he should have it.
Yeah, didn't have very far to go, so Jay Barker just falls forward. He'll definitely have the first down, and although it was in his own end, it was a pretty safe gamble by Don Matthews.
And you see, as Matthews walked by, Kerwin Bell on the sideline there. He's supposed to be the starting quarterback, but Barker is in because Bell, with the fractured forearm, as they hand off again up over the 40-yard line. A short game this time for Pinball Clements.
Well, the BC Lions, one of the bright spots have been in that front 4 with Dave Chaters and Johnny Scott. They've really provided some solid pressure up the middle, and they were, of course, involved in that last tackle on Pinball. But, boy, without the play of those 2 guys in the middle of that defense, it could be worse for BC.
So Pinball's carried the ball a lot. Barker to throw again. He's got him catching it now. Pinball Clements up to midfield. Argo first down.
Well, a simple pick play underneath. Barker's going to wait for Pinball to clear underneath the zone, and the defensive backs can't get through the mix. You see, Rashid Gale was in charge of trying to cover Pinball on the play, but he couldn't come through the pick. And pretty good job by the rookie quarterback to be poised enough on that shotgun to pull it off with one hand.
A gain of 14 on the play, and Barker looks poised in this first drive of the game, and so does Pinball Clements. Another running play brings another first down for the Argos up across the 45.
Don Matthews was asked when Robert Drummond signed in BC how worried he was about that loss, and he said, you know what, I have utmost respect for Drummond, but we didn't fall off too much when Drummond was hurt in the last few games of the regular season last year because of Pinball's running ability. So he's very confident they can have a running game with Pinball.
Inside handoff to Pinball Clements again. My goodness, I haven't seen him carry the football this many times in one drive in a long time. They're keeping him busy, and it is paying off as they get it down to the 40-yard line. A gain of 3 for a 2nd and 7.
Well, this also takes some pressure off Jay Barker. When you have a young quarterback and you can provide a running game for him, he can get into some 2nd and medium, 2nd and short situations. It'll take the pressure off him.
The 10th play of this drive. Number 11 out of the shotgun. He has time, being chased by Dave Chaters, and Chaters has him. Wraps Barker up and puts him down at midfield for a huge loss.
Well, it was a team effort for the BC defense. Here's Dave Chaters right in the middle. Johnny Scott's going to come from this side of your screen. And Jay Barker has no one to throw to downfield. Has pretty good time initially, but he has to check off to his 3rd and 4th receivers, and that allows Chaters and Johnny Scott to have a little team meeting right at the quarterback.
Maybe sharing that sack, and Chaters already with 2 this season. Give him a half for that one, of course, and Johnny Scott wrapping him up. And so Noel Prefontaine, product of San Diego State, will get it away and gets it down to Jimmy the Jet Cunningham. And he is brought down at the 20-yard line. And so Damon Allen will go to work again. It's a scoreless game in BC.
Drive on TSN is brought to you by Gatorade. Is it in you?
We are midway through the first quarter and still no points on the board. A recurring theme for these two teams who get the yardage but just don't get the points. As Robert Drummond takes the football and has it up to the BC 25-yard line, a gain of 5.
A real nice opening play of this drive for Robert Drummond, and this is the type of thing they're going to have a lot of success with, but they got to stick with it throughout the game. He takes a pretty good hit from Michael O'Shea, but that puts Damon Allen in a second and medium situation and truly opens up the playbook for him.
The last time the Lions had the ball, they did get it over midfield, but a penalty took it out of him. That one knocked down and picked off. It is the Argonaut football, and it's Kelly Wiltshire coming up with it.
Well, this one was batted down right at the line of scrimmage. Damon Allen wanted to throw hot to Al Shipman to the left of your screen, but Wiltshire gets up there and bats that ball down, and Maurice Miller, I believe, comes up with it before it touches the turf.
So the first big break of the game goes to Toronto as it stands at the 25-yard line, BC. Wiltshire knocking it, and Maurice Miller picking it up. Damon Allen with a rare interception, and it's got the Argos in great position now to score some points in a 0-0 game. Out of the shotgun, bad snap over Barker, and he just has no choice but to fall on it. Way back out at the BC 42.
Well, Jay Barker's had some problems. He's had to make a couple of one-hand catches out of the shotgun, but this one wasn't even close. That would be the old Bob Uecker. That was high and outside.
Just a bit outside.
Strike two. Yikes. Chad Folk will be talking to Jay Barker in the huddle there, saying, that was my bad. Let me try and get you one. It's tough on the center in the shotgun. He's got to pick up all the stunts and blitzes.
So a loss of 15 yards, 2nd and 25, and they hand off. To the pinball again, and nothing doing. Gets barely across the 40 again, so this will be about a 47-yard try when Noel Prefontaine comes out.
Well, Noel Prefontaine had a bit of a shaky start in the first game with the Argos, but he certainly played well last week versus the Calgary Stampeders. He went 4 for 4 as long as his 42. When I saw him in training camp, well, I mean, he kicked the ball very well. I watched him do about 14 kicks in a row from about 45 yards out, and each one of them went about 30 yards past the uprights. He's definitely got the leg strength.
There's no question when they took him in the supplemental draft this year, the strength is punting. Punting is what he does. But they were so enamored, Don Matthews was, with his ability to punt the football. And I guess the need to have one guy do both. They really wanted him to work on it, and it's worked out. This one had the distance, but goes wide and just runs out for a single. So a point on the board, although worst case scenario for the Argos, who started at the 25-yard line after the turnover. The Argos get a point. We'll be back. Rod Smith, Glenn Suter back at BC Place, where the Argos have the 1-point lead. Farhan Lalji is here as well, down on the sideline with injured Argo quarterback Kerwin Bell. Farhan?
Thanks, Rod. Kerwin, bring us up to date on the status of your injured arm.
Well, we're going to get X-ray tomorrow, and from there we'll be able to know sort of the return date. Right now, it's coming along very good, especially the last 2 or 3 days. It's really improved.
So what's the best case scenario?
Best case scenario, hopefully, is next week. That's the date I've been shooting for, is Edmonton at home there in the Sky Dome. And right now, if it improves the next 2 or 3 days the way it has the last 2 or 3, maybe that'll give me an opportunity to go out there and play. If not, hopefully Calgary the following week will be the day I'll be able to come back.
Kerwin, best of luck. And Rod, you know, by the way they've played so far in this game, they would love to have Kerwin Bell back behind center.
All right, thank you, Farhan. Well, I might amend that. Jay Barker hasn't looked too bad here.
Well, I think in that first drive he did do what he wanted to do, and that's get some field position back. He hasn't looked too bad early in this game, no.
Now on first down, they hand it off to Drummond. He gained a yard, so this is 2nd and 9 for Damon Allen. Rolling out and incomplete. So they'll be punting again. That one intended for number 80, Andrew Inglis, another product of UBC.
The BC Lions call it the fly and die pattern. Andrew English is the top receiver. He's just going to go down the sideline and just kind of gear it down and find the open area in the zone. Would have been a tough catch, but he's really got to come up with it. Last week against the Edmonton Eskimos, the BC Lions had 3 or 4 dropped on second and long situations. A couple by veteran Jim Sandusky. Guys got to come up with those catches.
Louis Pasaglia with the punt, coming down for Lester Smith at the 35 and gets up to about the 37-yard line. A 37-yard punt and a 5-yard return.
Well, it was interesting, Rod, listening to Kerwin Bell on the sideline and when he may expect back. You know, if you're going to have your #1 quarterback get injured, this is the best case scenario for Don Matthews, because if Kerwin Bell gets injured in a playoff game and Jay Barker has not seen the field, you're really scrambling. But at this point, Kerwin Bell will be back for the majority of the season. If he gets nicked in a real crucial game down the line, Jay Barker now has a lot of playing experience.
And he understands pressure after years at Alabama. Only 2 losses in his whole time there. This is Daryl Mitchell. Got some speed, is outside, and he's ridden out of bounds by Dale Joseph, but inside the BC 50-yard line. Another Argo first down on a gain of 24.
Well, Daryl Mitchell is for real. Daryl Mitchell is the middle guy in the screen. It's what he does after he catches the football. Watch the great quickness to the outside. Nothing fancy about the pattern. He picks it up. Now watch how he outruns the angle by Andre Strode and Steve Mohammed. Steve Mohammed had the angle on him, and he just flat out, speed-wise, got outside him.
Early movement and a flag. David Benefield appears to be offside. Another great catch by Daryl Mitchell down at the 41 of BC.
Back-to-back big plays by Daryl Mitchell, and he took a huge hit on it as well. Jay Barker is throwing the ball with a lot of zip on it. He sees Daryl Mitchell, who's going to be his go-to guy throughout the season, no question about it. But watch the hit he takes. Right in the middle of the back from Rashid Gale, and hangs on to the football.
Offside, BC number 45. First down repeated.
So they choose to take the penalty in the 1st and 5 instead of the 2nd and 3, obviously, that they would have had after the Mitchell catch.
Well, I think David Benefield was standing beside Jay Barker before the snap of that ball.
The Lions' 44-yard line as they send 3 out to the right, fake the handoff to Clements, and find Dimitrition. Dimitrition trying to get to that first down marker inside the 40-yard line.
First down, Ron.
And he does have another first down for the Argos, and Jay Barker is 4 for 4.
Yeah, he really looks poised in there, whether he's taking it from center or in the shotgun. Little play action fake and then just dump it underneath. You only have 5 yards to pick up, so it's a safe pass and it's a good play. Don Matthews and John Jenkins are doing a nice job of moving Jay Barker around a little bit.
3 out to the left, that's where he's looking. He's got Mitchell again. Mitchell down around the 35-yard line. Very short gain of about 2 yards.
Well, it's well documented what Daryl Mitchell did last year in his rookie season, breaking the Argo records, having almost 1,500 yards receiving. But I think the biggest compliment you can get is from your peers. And last year, when Doug Flutie was working with Daryl Mitchell, he said he may be the best receiver he has ever seen. He is definitely going to be a big play guy for a long time in this league.
And what higher praise can you get from a quarterback who certainly could evaluate receiving talent? Barker finds a receiver, and it's Pinball Clements again at the 30-yard line. That'd be short of a first down to set up a field goal. A gain of 5. And Pinball doesn't look too happy about it.
Well, you know, Pinball's the type of guy, he gets frustrated easily because, you know, he would have had to beat 3 BC Lion tacklers to get the first down on that play. And you know what? He's disappointed that he didn't. That's the kind of competitor that Pinball Clemens is. He thinks every time he touches the football, he's going to score.
So Noel Prefontaine, who missed to the right in his first field goal attempt from the 47, will try it again, this time a shorter distance of about 36 yards for the lefty. Missed in 2 tries in Saskatchewan, but went 4 for 4 last week against Calgary. Gets it up, it's low, and it's wide to the right again. So the Argos have gone in deep, but they've come out with only 2 points. The offense is moving. But Don Matthews can't be too happy about what he has seen so far as results are concerned. 2-0 Toronto. Tomorrow night is Friday night and Adidas Friday Night Football. That's what it means. Hamilton and Winnipeg. And the second in the home-and-home series between those two. It was the Ticats winning big last week.
And talk about must-win games. Winnipeg Blue Bombers are looking for a must-win game. That's the beauty of football, is the urgency of it. 3 games into the season, you're in must-win time.
Remarkable difference in time of possession in this one here in Vancouver, but the Argos only have 2 points to show. The pass is behind Robert Drummond at the 41, and it falls incomplete. BC and the fans are starting to express their point of view about all this. This offense is not showing any signs of improvement so far in this game.
Yeah, and that one was Damon Allen. He had Robert Drummond underneath, would have picked up 6-7 yards easily and just missed him. And that's been the problem for Adam Rita's offense this year. It's a drop pass here, a penalty that negates a drive. It's one thing or another. It's a different player every time, but they just can't get on the same page.
The one stat this year that had been working in Damon Allen's favor was completion percentage, but not so tonight. 2 for 5 so far. Out of the shotgun again. He'll be throwing. He'll be running away. Getting chased there. And he looks for Shipman. He's got it. Big completion. Into Argo territory at their 46.
This is what Damon Allen can give you. His athletic ability when he runs and has to improvise. He gets to the corner right there, breaks outside on Todrick McIntosh, and when you get outside the pocket as a quarterback, that stretches the defense. Now it's scramble time. Try and find the receivers downfield, and on the run, Damon Allen throws a strike.
That's what this offense needs, a big play. All 3 of the completions Damon Allen has thrown tonight have been to Al Shipman. That one for a gain of 29. As he'll throw again, under pressure, wrapped up. And looks like a face mask call. I think so.
No question.
To see him twist so quickly, that is scary. And then going right down to the carpet right at midfield.
And those are the ones that can get a guy hurt because...
Major foul, face mask, Toronto, number 91. First down.
Damon Allen tries to take off up the middle. I think it was Jermaine Haley that's going to... No, it wasn't Jermaine Haley, actually.
Demetrius Maxey.
Yeah, Demetrius Maxey. And no question, he got his hand on the face mask and did not let go. And that's the one. I'm surprised that Damon Allen didn't have to leave the game after that one.
Well, he slaps himself on the helmet to suggest, if nothing else, stupid penalty and not what he had wanted to do. A little anxious to get that quarterback, and big first down. Allen rolling out. He's going to take off. He's got a few yards, about 4, as he gets it inside the 30 down to the 27-yard line out of bounds. This isn't bad for the Lions because they have been outplayed in this quarter, and they're in field goal range now for Louis Pasaglia. They could come ahead at the end of the quarter with a 1-point lead.
Well, you know, and the BC Lions, I truly believe, are only going to have success this year offensively if Damon Allen does what he is doing on this drive, and that's run the football. He's the Canadian Football League's all-time leading rusher as a quarterback. When he was in Edmonton, that's how he had success. He's got to do it.
And he ranks 6th all time, not just quarterbacks, anybody in the CFL in the history of rushing. That one is going to nobody into the end zone, but nobody there wearing black to catch it. So it'll be 3rd down, and Louis Pasaglia will be coming out to try this.
Well, that was the old pump and go to Jimmy the Jet Cunningham. Try and get a guy sneaking up, a defensive back. In this case, though, it was the veteran Donald Smith, 7 years in the league. He wasn't buying it. Stayed back in the coverage, and Jimmy Cunningham was not open.
Louis Pasaglia, ageless. Although he's come under fire a bit recently for that stat right there, only 2 for 6. Some wondering, has it passed him by? But Adam Rita doesn't think so.
I don't think so either. You know, what that stat doesn't tell you, 2 for 6, is that he had a lot of pressure when he missed in the game 1.
From 34 yards away, and he hits an upright again. This happened 2 weeks ago in his first attempt against Edmonton.
Unbelievable. The first game against Edmonton, same thing happens. It hits and falls out. The second game in Edmonton last week, Louis kicks one. It deflects off the post, but this time goes in. And guess what? Game 3 of the season, same story.
Wow. Now, one thing Adam Breida did say yesterday, the one that went and hit the upright before was because of pressure by Derek McCready. He had to angle it away.
Exactly.
But this time, I don't think he had any pressure forcing him to maybe angle it a little bit to one side.
No, it looked like he was just trying to play the draw, but just it turned into a bit of a hook on him.
Well, that sums up pretty well BC's attempts to find points so far in 1998. They come up empty, and they're still down by 2 as Barker throws, and it's incomplete. Andre Batson, number 84 there, and so the gun goes, and the Argos do have a lead, but they could have a much greater lead. It is only 2-0. Now let's head to CFL Live Control and James Duthie.
You're watching CFL Live, and we're at the quarter. Here's your host, James Duthie.
Okay, welcome back. You know, there isn't a wind inside BC Place, or there's not supposed to be, so I don't know what the field goal kickers are going to blame their misses on. Toronto moving the ball, though, Eric.
Yeah, you know, James, in spite of the score, I'm very impressed with Jay Barker. He showed a lot of poise last week against Calgary, and he's playing very well again tonight. And I think you have to credit offensive coordinator John Jenkins. He's doing a real nice job of bringing this rookie quarterback along. And,
Eric, I agree, but only to a point. You look at this play we have with Jay Barker. Really, he's got to reach another level of development in his quarterback ability. He's in a straight drop back situation. Right now, he has to realize he has to get rid of the ball, use the Canadian Football League rule of be going to an area, throwing to an open space. He just needs to develop that another skill, and that's going to take him to another level as a quarterback. No negative yardage, James.
Now, the Argos are running the ball a little bit up the middle with Clemens as well, taking a page from what the Eskimos did to BC last week.
Well, as they talked about at the game earlier, when Drummond went down last year, Pinball played tailback. He brings a different dimension, but he certainly can make guys miss. I think the question with Pinball is not whether he can play tailback, but whether he can hold up over an 18-game schedule at that position.
Right. Okay, 2-0 is the score at the end of 1 quarter of play. 2 singles by Noel Prefontaine, both on missed field goals. For second quarter action, here again are Glenn Suter and Rod Smith in Vancouver. Take it away, guys.
Thank you, James. Argonauts with the football to start off the second quarter and a 2-point lead. And as you just heard, it obviously could have been a whole lot more. The numbers should bear out. Toronto was clearly the superior team in the first quarter, and if you look at the yardage anyway, I guess I am wrong, because it is even that way.
Well, you know, I think for Toronto offensively, they did some pretty good things in that first quarter, but I think what they'll be disappointed is when Damon Allen threw that one interception, they didn't come away with any points, and that's the. When you get that turnaround, you want to come up with at least a touchdown, at least 3 points on the field goal, so a single's not going to buy it.
And you see underneath Robert Drummond with 9 yards and averaging only 3.4 a carry coming into this. Not exactly what they had in mind when they picked him up as a free agent. Flags down again as Barker won't get this one away. Procedure against the Argos.
And I think it'll be procedure on Jay Barker.
Procedure, Toronto 62, still second down.
Well, I think Jay Barker drew Willie Williams off. I think there was a mix-up in the snap count because Jay Barker started backing out of there before he got the ball. See, he takes a step back. Ball hasn't been snapped yet, and once everything starts moving, those offensive linemen are trying to get position, so Willie Williams had to try and get in position to block David Benefield and gets called on the procedure.
To set up 2nd and 15 with the loss of 5 yards on that penalty. Out of the shotgun again and looking to his left. Barker fires it off to Paul Masati, and he's got the completion and up over the 30-yard line. Not a first down, but they took a good chunk out of it on a gain of 13 yards.
You know what I liked about Jay Barker's play here is that he looks off the defensive backs. Watch when he takes this snap. He's going to look to his right. When you're in coverage as a defensive back, that's all it takes sometimes to make you flow to that side of the field, and then he comes back to the opposite side, and it takes Jason Bryant and Rasheed Gale an extra second to react to the throw, and that's why the completion. I mean, that's a veteran move from a rookie quarterback.
Noel Prefontaine, you see Al Shipman back there. Prefontaine averaging nearly 50 yards a punt, ranking 2nd behind Calgary's Tony Martino for average in the CFL. And he has been known to really sky them. This one, however, is not like that. It wobbles down, chasing Shipman back, though, to about his 30, where he picks it up. tries to find some room and gets across the 35-yard line after a 47-yard punt and a 6-yard return. Not the kind of numbers you're used to with Damon Allen, at least in terms of percentage, although it has been that kind of year so far for him, especially in terms of points production, which has been a real problem.
Yeah, we talked about in the opening that one of the positive stats for Damon Allen was that he hadn't turned the ball over. This team is a +4, which was #1 in the CFL, and you see that one interception that happened here tonight when he had a ball knocked down by Kelly Wiltshire.
So they scrimmage from just shy of the 37-yard line, out of the shotgun again. Allen steps up, still can't find anybody, and tries to take off, and does pick up a few yards before Maurice Miller wraps him up after a 4-yard gain.
This is a solid secondary for the Toronto Argonauts, and Damon Allen really has no one to throw to throughout the play. He's going to step up into the pocket because no one is open. Even Jim Sandusky, if he throws that little ball out to the left, and that was Sandusky standing out there, really doesn't do anything. He might as well just gain the extra couple yards on his own.
So a 2nd and 6 for BC. And out of the shotgun again. You see so much of that now. That style of offense. Shipman on the receiving end, but he is shy of the first down up at around the 45-yard line. The farthest his momentum carried him.
It's a pretty good read because this is halfback Antonio Sbano right here, and he's going to drop back into a zone defense, into a 3-deep defense. When Shipman sees that, he just sits down. You see how deep Bonner has to be to cover the deep zone. Shipman sits down in the open area in between the corner and Antonio Sbano and picks up the first, well, it's just short of the first down.
Wouldn't or shouldn't that route be designed to go to the marker before turning?
It should be, but they also they're asking Al Shipman to make one guy miss.
Right, which he can do. He's been known to do that. So is this guy. The pinball. Excuse me, not the pinball. Lester Smith with the return, giving pinball a break. Toronto up by 2. TSN's coverage of the British Open, the 3rd major in golf. Men's golf coming up tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific. And Tiger Woods, Glenn, back in the thick of it at Royal Birkdale in the tie for the lead after today with John Houston.
Yeah, I heard he shot -5, which sounds pretty good considering the weather conditions. There was really windy. That puts me over 100 in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Only 100. Good for you.
Yeah.
I won't even tell you what it would do to me. Then we'll go play the next hole. Flags down again. Now, is it my imagination?
First down.
Or are we seeing a lot of this stuff tonight, especially with the Argos?
Well, you know, the Argos have a bit of an excuse. They've had to make a couple of moves on the offensive line, moving Chris Giaskis inside and Dwayne Morgan to the tackle, and then you got the young quarterback with a different cadence, so they have a bit of excuse. BC's penalties, on the other hand, they really don't have.
Out of the shotgun in 1st and 15. And he's got Mazzotti up to the 35. Still about 5-6 yards shy of the first down, a gain of 9. Mazzotti with a couple of catches tonight. The elder statesman, if you will, not in terms of age, but in terms of years served. The longest serving Argonaut currently, signed on in 1988.
Well, he's been a consistent performer for the Toronto Argonauts. 4 consecutive years over 1,000 yards. 600, just over 600 yards away from being the Argos' all-time leading receiver.
Product of Acadia Axman. That one's caught by Dwayne Demetrician. Product of the University of Saskatchewan, who comes up shy of the first down, however, getting it up to the 43-yard line.
Well, this is what play action can do for you. You see a little play action fake here. You see Bruce Dixon in the middle of your screen, bit to that side of the field. Jay Barker goes to the opposite side, and then it's just a good job by Dwayne Demetrician to pick up the first on his own. He knows he's going to get popped pretty good by a couple of linebackers in there, and picks up a couple good big yards.
Well, Jay Barker has yet to find the end zone, but his numbers are remarkable. 9 for 10. 9 out of 10, only missed once, and make that 10 out of 11 as Mazzotti gets another one up across the 50-yard line on that first down.
You know, Rod, football fans like to see big plays out of offenses, and they're probably wondering at this point why Jay Barker and Damon Allen aren't throwing the football down the field more. But right now, Jay Barker is facing a lot of zone defense from the BC Lions. And when you face zone defense, a lot of defensive backs are dropping off into the deep coverage. You have to throw it underneath. Well, you get your big plays when one of your guys breaks a tackle and can run for big yardage. But that is the read that Jay Barker is seeing, and he's making the right decisions. It's just not quite as exciting to seeing that long bomb go down the field.
Well, you could easily say one of the best, if not the best, in CFL history. One who just left, Doug Flutie, was a master at working the short game, if that's what defenses gave him.
Absolutely. Doug Flutie was a master at it, and he would, when he did make his big plays down the field, it was usually at a scramble situation.
Right. It is second down and very short. They brought the sticks out. Just about a foot and a half shy. Barker kept it before in this situation, does it again, and once again appears to have the first down for Toronto.
You know, on plays like that, Don Matthews has been known to throw in a little wrinkle, little play action, fake those, and go deep.
Well, especially on second down, too.
Absolutely. He's got another chance to just fall forward if it doesn't work out. But when you got a young quarterback and a couple changes up front, I think it's probably the smart move. Make the first down, keep the sticks moving, and try and come away with some points.
When they signed Jay Barker, who, by the way, was on the negotiation list of the BC Lions, Matthews was thrilled. He is still raving about what this guy did in Alabama in his fine college career there. Mike Pinball Clements carrying the football again over midfield for a gain of 5.
Well, this has been the whole series. They're either faking the ball to Mike Clements and throwing it in the flat underneath the zone coverage, or they're giving it to him. And a pretty good job, that offensive line by Chad Folk, to wash the front four of that defensive line for the BC Lions to the right, so Pinball has a little crease.
Pinball has 7 carries for 37 yards. He's been very busy in this first half, especially along the ground. They fake it to him and throw it out to Daryl Mitchell. First down, Toronto, to the BC 45-yard line. And Barker's string of success is continuing here in the second quarter, a gain of 7.
Wow, super read by Jay Barker, because the Lions were coming with the safety blitz. Dale Joseph is going to sneak up and come from this side of the field. Dale Joseph's number 12. He comes up on the safety blitz. Now he gets his hands up, but doesn't get his hands on the football. And Jay Barker reads the blitz quickly. When they're coming with too many, you got to dump it quickly, and he does that.
Only 2 points to show for it, but the Argos and Barker have looked very impressive tonight on offense. And Clemens carries it, tries to get down to the 40. He stopped about the 41, 42-yard line. Gain of 4 for the Argos to set up 2nd and 6. With 8:18 left to go until halftime.
You know, they have looked pretty good, Rod, moving the football in the middle of the field, but it seems like we've been saying that all year about these two teams. And the difference between good teams and great teams is their ability to drive it into the end zone, to have that killer instinct, to smell the end zone and get the football in. And you don't become great unless you can do that.
Fair enough. Red zone problems, they have had it inside the 20. See what happens this time as Barker, not known to run a lot, but runs there and goes down himself inside the BC 30-yard line for another Argo first down.
Well, they came with the safety blitz again, and Dale Joseph broke the cardinal rule when you're coming on the safety blitz, number 12. Never leave your feet. Dale Joseph's coming on the blitz. He has Jay Barker dead to rights in the backfield. He leaves his feet. Barker pulls it down and makes a big play.
I imagine you especially studied that safety rule book a lot in your fine career.
Never leave your feet or you can look a little silly.
That ever happened to you?
Oh, yeah. I learned the hard way.
Here's Pinball again with nowhere to go. Chainers, Glenn Rogers, they wrap him up. Dale Joseph there, too, for a loss on the play of about a yard.
Well, Jason Bryant led the way, but this is called team defense. They're heading off to the left, and watch the pursuit. That ball is pitched and declared to Mike Clements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 behind. Black jerseys swarming around Pinball. Team defense. Pinball will obviously make the first guy miss, but it's tough to make 12 miss.
That's actually a loss of 3 on the play. Set up 2nd and 13. The 10th play of the drive. And out of the shotgun, the snap is high, but Barker corrals it. It's got lots of time. Looking and nearly picked off by David Benefield, and then it nearly went into the hands of Mike Clemens. Falls incomplete.
Walker has all day to throw this football because the BC Lions are only coming with 3. They've dropped everybody into coverage, including defensive rush end David Benefield. And David Benefield probably during the week is going to go back to the defensive backs ball drills because he's going to want that one back. He doesn't get many opportunities to come up with an interception.
So sets up another field goal attempt. Noel Prefontaine 0 for 2 tonight, both falling for singles. He's missed both times to the right. And this one from the 38. Certainly far enough, and it is good. So make him 1 for 3, and 3 more points on the board for the Toronto Argonauts. 6:19 to go until halftime. Argos 5, Lions nothing.
CFL Live on TSN is brought to you in part by Midas Car Care, the way it should be.
With the field goal by this guy, Noel Prefontaine, the Argos have the 5-0 lead now. He will kick off from his 35-yard line with Al Shipman back along with Jimmy the Jet Cunningham for this one. And it's taken by Shipman at his 10-yard line. Al Shipman up over the 30, still on his feet across the 35 to the 38-yard line. And a return of 29 yards as Damon Allen will try to get it going again. You look at what has gone on, Glenn, in the first 5 possessions. This is just a sign of the way things have been actually throughout the season so far early on for the Lions.
Yeah, you have to put some plays together, control the football, and keep your defense off the field. That's one key element here. I mean, look at the time of possession difference for the Toronto Argonauts right now. Now, in the first half, that really doesn't come into play if you don't have a big deficit to overcome. But come fourth quarter, if that defense continues to be on the field as long as they have been in the first half, then it's going to cost them down the stretch. And Damon Allen knows that he's got to get out there and keep possession of his football.
But he is not going out there because there was a penalty on the kick. Even though we did not see a flag on that, but obviously against the Argos, and 5-yard penalty coming back to the 30-yard line where Prefontaine will do it again.
Well, every time they touch the ball, every fan is on the edge of their seat. Cunningham, of course, broke the big one last week versus the Edmonton Eskimos on a punt return. Got him back in the football game, and they have a low center of gravity and tremendously quick feet, and they are awfully tough to tackle.
Jimmy the Jet is second in the CFL in combined yards so far this season, 330, and he loves to get the yards this way. The Argos knew about that a few years ago. Cunningham takes it, gets up over the 40-yard line on the re-kick. Pickup of 18, but it is better field position as a result of that penalty for Damon Allen to go to work with.
Well, one guy we haven't talked about, as you take a look at Damon Allen's numbers, and we haven't talked a whole lot about in this game, has been Robert Drummond. I mean, we talked about him early that he needed to get the football, and he truly hasn't. Damon Allen has to find ways to give him the football.
It's at the 41-yard line, and yeah, Drummond has not been as busy as we might have expected in the first 3 games of this season. He gets it there, but more or less typical of the way things have been going, getting essentially nothing on it. Maybe actually a loss of about a yard.
Yeah, this is not Robert Drummond's fault. He's got to get some help from that front 5 up front in the offensive line. Demetrius Maxey and Jermaine Haley were just saying, no shot. You're not going to get any yards on that running play. Jamie Terrace and the boys up front have got to start moving that line of scrimmage if they want to have any success, and Robert Drummond had no hole.
They put the ball right back where it was, so it'll be 2nd and 10. And Allen passing again. And looking deep. Sean Graham has it, and it is out of his hands, knocked down. The fans react and want a call, but looked like Graham had a chance for that football.
Well, they were step for step down the sideline. It was Byron Capers, the rookie in coverage, going down the sideline. It was a bit of a hand fight as the ball was delivered. Now, Sean Graham does a nice job of a little subtle push there with the left hand, and he does have a chance to catch the football, but you got to use your hands, and Sean Graham let that one get to his body, and of course it bounced right off. But Got to come up with those catches.
So Pisaclia punts. Down for Lester Smith across the 30-yard line. Excuse me, that is Hitson. Don Cato Hitson on his first punt return of the game up to the 40-yard line. He had one back for a touchdown last week. Jay Barker will go to work again when we come back. Under 5 minutes to go until halftime. 5-0 Argos. Let's go down to the BC sideline and Farhan Lalje.
Well, Rod, we had a chance to talk to Brad Yamoka, the fullback for the BC Lions, and the news is not good. You saw him injure his knee in the first quarter. He walked off the field and appeared to be okay. He went back into the game on one offensive play and also went back in on a punt, but he told me the knee did not feel good. Right now, he's pedaling the bike right now. He does not expect to go back into the ball game.
Thank you, Farhan. On the shuffle, Mike Clemens takes it for another Argo first down up over the Toronto 50-yard line, a gain of 13. And a dangerous shuffle it was, Glenn.
Well, this is the old shovel pass series. Little fake handoff, and then both Mike Clemens and Jay Barker are going to move to their right side of the field. Now, Barker is optioning on Troy Bailey. If Bailey takes pinball Clemens, he keeps the football. If he comes to Barker, he pitches it. That time he went to Barker, and Clemens ended up with it.
And pitched it right over Bailey.
Did that make sense?
Oh, everything you says make. That's what doesn't make sense to me. It's all making sense. And Barker finds Darrell Mitchell up to the 43-yard line. Now the Argos moving the sticks again. It looks like Mitchell is hurt as he comes off the field, but not too shabby the play of Barker. Of course, no touchdowns to show for it, and I guess ultimately that is the biggest deal for them.
Yeah, this is the one right here. I mean, you got to, when you get a turnover, come up with some points, and that would really be the only disappointing part of this Argo offense. They need to score some more points.
And once again, Chad Folk's snap is high over Barker's head on the shotgun. Another costly play for Toronto, and Barker slamming the ball down in some frustration and a loss of 21 yards.
Well, Chad Folk did it. That's the second time in this game, and this snap was rising as it comes to Barker. I mean, that one was, again, outside to Barker's right and way too high. Chad Folk is trying to make the calls and picking up these stunts up front, but he has to secure the football first. And Barker does the right thing by just falling on it. You try and go and pick that one up on the fly, and maybe a BC turnover. That's a couple of bogeys for Chad Folk.
3 minutes exactly on the clock here until halftime. A lot of distance for Jay Barker to cover. The look on Chad Folk's face says it all. 2 shotgun snaps gone awry, and that one a loss of 21 yards has really put the Argos back into their own territory when they had another good drive going.
Chad Folk is only in his second year with the Argos. Last year he was played sparingly. Pierre Virtuval got hurt. He played a little bit for him, but this is really his first year starting. Don Matthews has said he's graded out as one of the 2 top linemen on the team so far this season, so he's having a good year, but he definitely needs to keep that snap down tonight.
And they go right back to shotgun after a loss of 21. 2nd and 31. Under pressure. Masadi has it at midfield. They get a lot of it back. Almost all of the lost yards back on that second down. Of course, it doesn't matter. It's 3rd down with a flag down on the field, though.
Yeah. Well, Jay Barker was talking like it was a late hit on him. He takes the shotgun snap and has to buy some time. Benefield's coming off the corner. 2, 3, 4 steps.
Roughing the passer, BC number 45. First down, Toronto.
We saw that 2 weeks ago here in BC. Dave Chaters was the culprit a couple of weeks ago on Dave Archer. But this is the type of thing that drives Adam Rita crazy. He won't say so much publicly, but I'm sure he deals with them, and there are fines, as you pointed out.
Yeah, he put in a fine system because he can't stand dead ball fouls. Fouls that happen because of a lack of discipline. David Benefield had a step or two that he could have come off the pass rush and not made contact. Would have forced the Argos to punt the football. As it turns out, they're in a position to score before the end of the half.
Not just big penalties, but even made bigger because they keep drives going. And that did happen against the Eskimos in their first game of the season. Out of the shotgun again. Under pressure, Barker is sacked. Chaters is there. And so too, Noah Cantor. Cantor and Benefield.
Dave Chaters is working on Chad Folk right in the middle of your screen. Dave Chaters is the guy that threw the hard work, and this is called the bull rush. Good hands for a defensive lineman. You stood up Chad Folk, who's really more concerned about the snap at this point than blocking, and Dave Chaters just bull rushes his way to the quarterback.
A loss of 13 yards. 63 total yards in losses for the Argos. They hand off again to Clements. Ball, and he is popped. A big-time pop by Jocelyn Borgella.
Brad, I have been in this situation, coming up from the middle with lots of space around. There is Pinball. There is 27, Jocelyn Borgella. Now, there is a lot of space in the open field for Pinball, and that's tough. He has to get around the official. Good form. He's got the bent knees and plants the helmet right in Pinball's chest. And I got to tell you, that is not easy to do in the open field on that man. 46 yards. Jocelyn Borgella had a big interception in game 1 for the BC Lions and had a pretty good year last year with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers as a defensive back.
Ended up being traded to BC for David Maeva. It has been paying off. And the field goal attempt, and it is short and wide, and Shipman decides not going to bring it out with 2 minutes to go still on the clock. Another single on a rough first half for Noah Prefontaine, who has missed 3 of his 4 attempts.
Yeah, he's struggling, Ronnie. You know what he's doing right now? He's jumping at the football. And the 3 that he has missed, he's not in a rhythm. You know, it's like a good golf swing. You just want to have nice tempo as you swing at a golf ball. It's the same for a kicker. You want to have nice tempo and not jump or be snappy at it, and he has been so far, and he's really struggling. I mean, both times what you want to do is just walk up nice and smooth and kick through the ball. He takes that big jump step, and he's almost airborne when his other foot comes through to kick it, and it's causing him problems because he keeps pulling the ball right.
Prefontaine was not a kicker, a field goal kicker in college at San Diego State, but mentioning before, he was such a good punter. They wanted to take the chance and have him do both, and he has shown he's capable of doing both. He's having a rough one tonight, however. So they add a point to take the 6-0 lead as Jimmy the Jet Cunningham takes the pass from Damon Allen.
Well, I'm a little bit surprised that the BC Lions aren't in the hurry-up offense. Well, now they are going into it. I think Damon Allen realized he's only got 1:55. A chance to get some momentum going into the half, but they got to get the ball snapped and get out on the line of scrimmage in a hurry.
The remarkable thing, given all the time that the Argos have had the ball compared to BC, and they've been dominant, especially in that area, that the Lions are only down by 6. They could figure out a way to get into the end zone. They could actually have the lead as that one falls incomplete. Al Shipman in and out of his hands. And the Lions, though, will be punting as another drive goes awry.
Well, if Marcellus Simmons didn't have the radar locked in on Al Shipman, he has an interception because this one comes across and people are booing this Lion offense right now. Watch him as he keeps tipping the ball around. Simmons is on his way for the big hit. Had he been looking at that football, he's going the other way. Damon Allen takes a bit of a hit as he throws the football on the play. And he goes down hard. Demetrius Maxey handing that one out.
Bisaglia gets it away from his 32. And here's Cato again. Don Hitson ran one back for a touchdown last week against Calgary and gets it up to the 30-yard line. So 1:24 to go on the clock, and Barker coming in again. 6 points on the board, but there could be so many more for the Argos. 3 missed field goals, some missed opportunities along the way, and yet look at the numbers for Barker tonight.
Wow, amazing completion percentage, 14 of 16. He is really throwing the ball well all night. If he can just catch that snap from center, Chad Folk, he had a little bit better chance to complete some passes. That's been the trouble up front.
1st and 10 from the Argo 30, and that snap is a little bit high, but once again Barker does bring it down. And I think fans are complaining that one to Mitchell, that his knees were down when he caught the ball.
Well, this is another snap from Chad Folk that almost gets away from Jay Barker. We've talked about the two that he's missed. This one, Barker has to, again, for the second time in this game, come up with a one-hand catch. Now, keep in mind, when you're the quarterback in the shotgun, you're trying to look down the field and read the defense while you're expecting the football. So, boy, he saved his center twice.
Out of the shotgun again, no problem that time. Barker over the middle, complete. Andre Kerwan. Big gain, Argos over the BC 50-yard line.
It starts out with real good time for Jay Barker to look down the field. In order to complete a pass that long down the field, you need time, and watch the protection he has up front. Real nice job by Chris Giaskis and Chad Folk to hold off the pass rush. That gives Daryl Mitchell a chance to get in behind the coverage.
A gain of 31 yards and another Argo first down to the 48-yard line of BC. They have had little trouble at all moving the ball. They just don't have a lot to show for it. Another snap over the head of Barker. This time he does get it away. However, the closest one there is Steve Muhammad. Unfortunately, Barker didn't have any more on that ball. It might have been picked off for a touchdown.
Well, offensive linemen always like to get on TV. You know, when we talk before a game, they want to get on TV, but I can guarantee you that Chad Folk does not want to be talked about this much because of what he's doing out on this game in the first half. I mean, that is the third time, but athletically, how about Jay Barker? You know, that was like playing shortstop. He's had to do it all game in the shotgun, catch the ball off the bounce, and he somehow gets that one away.
So at least no lost yardage, a 2nd and 10, because he does get it away. Passing again, and it's going to be interference called of Rashid Gale, who pushed Mike Clements out of bounds as the ball was arriving. And Barker with his helmet off down on the turf.
Jay Barker paid for that one, but it was well worth delivering the pass because he gets the pass interference call. He's going to take a hit right as he delivers the ball from Johnny Scott. And when you see that head snap, you know it's a tough hit. Scott, 270 pounds, hit him right in the jaw. But it was no question a good call on Rashid Gale. It was definitely a pass interference down the field.
So the sticks do move on the interference call.
You know,
Forward pass interference, British Columbia, number 14, deliberate. Major foul, roughing the passer, BC, number 72, first down.
wow.
Was that clearly roughing the passer? I was surprised.
No, I did not see you roughing the passer. I think that was a good, clean hit from Johnny Scott. I'm not sure what they're calling, unless when Scott was down on the ground, he did something to Barker while he lied on the field.
The net result is a 35-yard gain with those two penalties. High snap again. Barker keeps it down. Dumps it off. Nobody there. Just gets rid of it. It'll be 2nd down and 10. They've got the ball at the 13-yard line of BC's.
Rod, Jay Barker is getting pounded in this game. I mean, he is doing a nice job of delivering the football, but he has taken some big hits. That's the 2nd play in a row that he's had to readjust the equipment after a big hit. The last one was Johnny Scott. That one, David Benefield. I mean, I'm surprised he keeps brushing himself off and getting back on the saddle.
You see the blood on his elbow.
Hey, he took a huge hit from Mike Philbrook.
Taking some punishment. Standing outside the 20. And tries, but incomplete, right down in the end zone. And Barker is down on the field again.
He is getting pounded. I mean, he is getting pounded in this game. That's 3 in a row that he has truly had to pick himself up off the turf. This time it's safety Dale Joseph who decides not to leave his feet and just run right through Jay Barker. And he got that bike Rydell, or that Rydell label right in that number 7.
So another field goal situation. Be about a 20-yard attempt for Noel Prefontaine. He is 1 for 4. Mind you, longer kicks that he's missed from. No problem there. A relative chip shot, and he pops it in to make it 2 for 5 in the field goal department and give the Argos a very well-earned 9 points, if you will. They've worked pretty hard for it.
Well, Jay Barker truly has worked hard for it. I mean, he gets the pass interference call, but that drive, he took some punishment. And Noel Prefontaine says, thank you very much. I can at least give you 3 points for all the hard work.
I wonder what Don Matthews is saying to this team, or will say to this team at the half. I mean, they do have the 9-point lead, but knowing Don Matthews, I would think he would not be too happy.
Well, I think he'll probably have a personal meeting with Chad Folk. In fact, they'll likely be in the locker room practicing the shotgun snap.
Right.
Other than that, I don't think Don Matthews is going to have a whole lot of complaints. I think he should be proud of his defense.
Oh,
they've been
absolutely
solid against Damon Allen, and not a whole lot you can say to a teammate except for, hey, we got a whole half of football to go. You got to forget it. It's like a defensive back who gets burnt.
Demetrius Maxey with words of encouragement to Chad Folk there.
You just have to have a short memory and get back in there because you got a lot of football to play.
Jimmy Cunningham takes the kickoff from Prefontaine. Started at his 20, goes to his right, and gets railroaded out of bounds by the newest Argo, Nigel Williams. And Damon Allen. 6 series have gone 4 plays or less in each series. It has been that kind of night so far. A lot of trouble moving the football. And the numbers certainly do bear it out.
57 yards passing is pretty much pitiful.
Well, especially for one of the top passers in the history of this game. He ranked
absolutely
5th overall.
We talked about Jay Barker and how, you know, a young quarterback, it's always interesting to see how they'll do it, but this is a veteran and veteran offense around him, and they're just not moving the ball.
Look at the time of possession in that second quarter as flags go down again before the snap of the ball, and the fans are going to let the Lions hear about it. This will go against BC.
Wow, it's another procedure call, and this time
Procedure, BC number 59, still first down.
I mean, it's been the same story last week against Edmonton. We talked about it. 2 procedure calls on 3rd down gambles, which is just truly kills you. And he's had the same type of penalties here tonight. Procedure calls, penalties after the play with late hits and dead ball fouls. And Adam Rita may tear a strip off the locker room walls at halftime.
Outwardly, to the media and to the public, you wouldn't think he'd be that way, but so I am told it could be an opposite situation in that dressing room, and you have to think that he will be very angry as the Argos get fired up. Robert Drummond going nowhere. BC Lions offense going nowhere again, and down by 9. They could be down by so much more.
You know, I think, Rod, what surprises me most is that Adam Rita is at home. His football team is playing in front of the home crowd. They haven't won going back to last year in their last 7 outings. They need to come out and show, and you know what? They really don't have a lot of emotion. Football is a game of emotion. We're not seeing it.
Rolling to his left is Allen, and the pass is off the mark for Jim Sandusky, and the shower of boos come from the stands again for Damon Allen. That was the last play of the half, and Adam Rita, the look on his face says it all. His team down by 9 points. It's the Argos ahead. Let's head to CFL Control.
You're watching CFL Live. We're at the half. Here's your host, James Duthie.
All right, welcome back. And if there wasn't concern in BC after the first 2 losses, there is now. That is really 5 straight bad, almost awful halves of football by the BC Lions, but somehow the only bright spot, they're still in it because the Argos have been missing their opportunities, Eric.
Yeah, you know, James, you're right. It's a miracle that BC's only down by 9 points. They have to do something offensively. You just can't go 2 and out, 2 and out, 2 and out. I mean, they have an improved defense, but they can't stay out there all night. I mean, they can't just do it by themselves. And, you know, I feel for Adam Rita right now. He's one of the really nice guys in the league, but this is just an awful first half, Chris.
It really is, and basically this is a pretty awful football game when you think about the amount of penalties and the amount of negative yardage that's being displayed. I mean, we're talking about certain mistakes and things that should have been done in training camp when your timing and your ability to perfect your position is right there. But 2 observations on BC. The guys in their offensive line, there's 2 ways you prepare, mentally and emotionally. They're not prepared either way. They don't look like they want to play, and the mental errors they're they're still making an offside is just a lack of concentration. I think Adam should get in the face of some of these guys and tell them to earn their money. Number two is I think Damon Allen, you've got to sprint him out from sideline to sideline. That splits the field in half, but it does give you a big play opportunity on the backside on a one-on-one opportunity. And I really think Damon Allen's strength is movement. It isn't as a drop-back quarterback, James. I think they have to make that adjustment.
Okay, and on the other end, Jay Barker doing a pretty good job leading the Argos, but they only have 9 points to show for it. 3 singles and a couple of field goals by Noah Prefontaine. And we'll be right back after this break with more of the halftime show. The Argos leading the BC Lions 9-0 at the half. We'll be back. Okay, welcome back. Our players of the week from last week, Darren Flutie back with his old buddy Danny McManus in Hamilton, and they played catch in their win over Winnipeg. Malika Griffin, the defensive player of the week, 4 tackles, 2 knockdowns, and he forces a fumble as the Eskimos beat the Lions. And Alfred Payton, as always, a factor, 6 tackles in a win over Saskatchewan. Now, this is a very busy night in the CFL. 3 games on hand. Ours just one of the 3. Let's have a look at those other 2 scores for you. First, the Als and Calgary. And the Als said they needed an offensive outburst. They've gotten it tonight. 29-12. They're leading over the Stamps in the 4th quarter. Mill Coleman, Eddie Brown, Matt Cody, and Jock Climby have all caught Tracy Ham TD passes. A note for the Stamps, Alan Pitts has moved into 3rd all-time in the CFL in receptions, and he's also passed Brian Kelly to go 2nd all-time in receiving yards. The other game tonight, Saskatchewan all over Edmonton, 28-1. Mike Saunders, Don Narcisse, and Sean Daniels with TDs in that one. And, you know, I'd say this one is a surprise, but it seems every time Saskatchewan does something good, we say it's a surprise, and sooner or later, guys, we're going to have to admit that this is a pretty good football team, the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Well, James, you're right. The day after the 2 experts here predicted Saskatchewan would finish 4th in the West, my phone rang, and it was none other than Jim Daly. And Jim was a very soft-spoken, easygoing guy, but he called just to tease me about our picks and saying that in fact, I remember his words verbatim. He said, Eric, I think quietly we put together a very good football team, and I think after 3 weeks, he knows what he's talking about.
As for the Calgary Stampeders and the Montreal Alouettes?
Well, I'm surprised. I didn't think Montreal would be able to score as many points as they did, as efficiently as they did. The thing that Montreal does so well is they have that nice balance, especially when the weather gets bad later on in the season. They can grind it out with Michael Souls and Mike Pringle. But tonight it's been the 4 touchdown passes from Tracy Ham with the Matt Cody and the Eddie Brown. When you have 4 great athletes as receivers, that really, believe it or not, helps your running game because you can't bring your safeties up to prevent the run, James. You really have to play more simple defenses, and with a good experienced quarterback, you can take advantage of that. Montreal, this is a big win because Calgary's a tough place to get a win in.
And Eddie Brown was talking all week about how they needed an offensive outburst.
Yeah, they got it
this time.
I mean, this is great for them because what happens, the best teams get on a roll, and they start to develop that killer instinct in the second half, where they go into the second half of the game, they're winning by 10 or 15 points, and then they're scoring 10, 15 more just for fun. Montreal is at that point where if they can create a separation in the East early, that's going to help them extremely to win the first place, which is the #1 goal, is to win the division first and get that home field and that week off. Montreal's off to the best start.
Okay. And don't forget, folks, we will be back here in about, 20 hours or so for Adidas Friday Night Football. Hamilton and Winnipeg in the rematch. Jeff Reinbold closed practices earlier this week. We'll see if all that secrecy pays off for the Bombers. Okay, welcome back to At the Half, and it is not very often that the offensive center is part of our key play of the half, and you know what? Chad Folk probably doesn't want to be part of the key play of the half this way. Actually, it's 3 plays, and they're not pretty from Chad Folk's behalf. Well, you know, Jay Barker, rookie quarterback, he needs help, and this is not what he needs, as Chad will go over his head. Well, kind of off to the right, over, high, and that's just the start of things. Chris, there was more to come.
There's 2 more to come, and in some ways I can understand it because if I have Dave Taters right in my face, I'd be a little bit nervous too. But this is a typical example of something that you have to complete during training camp. You have to put yourselves in a position of stress that it just becomes a fundamental motion, a simplistic motion. You have to be able to do this at critical points of the time. And the biggest reason is this is a huge part of Toronto's offense. They run the inside shovel off this. They run Michael Clemens off this. They run the out pattern off of this. They sprint left, they sprint right from the shotgun position. Chad Folk has to do a better job of this because it's a #1 element in their offense to spread the field and get the matchups.
I don't think I ever remember seeing 3 that bad in the half.
In a row.
Now, fortunately for them, the Lions were just as bad, perhaps not that obviously, but overall in the stats, an anemic offense, 57 yards passing, just 70 yards total. That's awful, Eric.
and they're playing in a dome stadium. Sometimes when you struggle on offense, you can at least blame it on the elements. Like I said, I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but the BC offense has to do something. They can't leave the defense out there all night.
Okay, now, this game has not been a good advertisement for the BC Lions, but we can tell you there is exciting CFL football in BC usually and around the rest of the league. Here is your ticket info. Get out and see a game whenever you have a chance. Folks, tickets, get your CFL tickets. Get a pen, pencil, lipstick, whatever, and write down these numbers.
Welcome back to Vancouver. It's not hard to tell which team had a rotten first half. You see Adam Rita. He spoke to Farhan Lalji all about it at the end of the first half.
Thanks, Rod. Coach, only 3 first downs in the first half. The offensive problems continue for this ball club.
Yep, I don't know what to do about it right now. We're going to go in and reassess what we're doing and see if we can get a first down.
Anything new we can expect to see in the second half?
Execution, I hope.
All right, best of luck. Rod, back to you.
Okay, so, I mean, you, Glenn, you know Adam Rita well. We talk about the fact that he's a patient man and he's pretty easygoing, but you could see by that look of his face as he walked off the field at halftime, he was boiling.
Oh, yeah, and I'm sure he told the guys, listen, that's enough of that or else heads are going to roll.
BC kicks off, and it comes down to Lester Smith doing a lot of returning tonight. He gets it up across to about the 33-yard line for the Argonauts. And Jay Barker, who had a very impressive first half, a look at the numbers, will certainly bear that out compared to Damon Allen. 16 for 21, although you look at the TDs for both. This has been the story of these two teams. Each has only 1 offensive touchdown this season, and this is week 3.
Part of that is great defense around the league and good team speed on defense across the league, but also part of it for both these two teams has been the lack of execution and poor penalties at bad times.
They go out of the shotgun right away, and they have 4 to the right. And Daryl Mitchell takes it and has some room, had some lead blockers. Daryl Mitchell, big play Argos down to the BC 30-yard line. A gain of 46 yards. What a way to start the second half for the Blue and White.
Mitchell right here, Rod, is just going to slip in behind. These guys are all going to come out and try and get blocks down the field. Mitchell slips in behind, catches a little pass, and then it's a foot race. Watch the great blocking downfield. Andre Kerwan, Nigel Williams, all getting their hands on defensive backs, and then that allows Daryl Mitchell to break it.
This time 3 to the left, 3 to the right. Barker looks right side and no good. Falls incomplete for second down. A rare incompletion for Jay Barker. Had only 5 incompletions in that first half.
I think his wristband slipped down onto his hand. Maybe that affected his throw on that one. That wristband that the quarterbacks wear, especially young ones, have all the plays written in certain situations, whether it be second and long, second and medium. Jay Barker will pull that up so it doesn't affect his throw in the next one, but that's what he'll check when he goes to call a play in the huddle.
He's been reading it well so far. Calling the right ones. Under pressure. Gets it away. Intercepted. Glenn Rogers. And a good return for the BC defensive back up over the Lions 45. He was still going, although it looked like he was down beforehand.
Rod, we've been talking about the great decision-making by Jay Barker, but this was one he should have just bit the bullet and taken the loss. Chaders was in his face, so was David Benefield. Really just tried to force the pass downfield to Paul Mazzotti, and Glenn Rogers Jr. won't get an any easier interception in his career than that one right there. Barker trying to look him off and then just dump it away because he's getting the great pass rush, and say sometimes it's better to take the loss and kick the football than have the big turnover because it can give the other team a lift, and the BC Lions definitely need a lift.
In a game that has lacked big plays so far, we've had 2 of them so far in the second half. Still over 13 minutes to go in this third quarter. It is complete to Jimmy Cunningham. Another big play for BC, their biggest offensively. Down to the Argo 35. We'll see where they spot it around the 37-yard line.
Rod, this is a design play and a perfect throw by Damon Allen. Damon Allen has Jimmy Cunningham going down the sideline, but by design, he throws it behind him. Clifton Abraham, who's the extra DB in on the play, has to come back and try and fight back to the ball. And you know when it's his man, he's going to try and get over there and make the tackle.
A gain of 33 yards for the Lions, who are in business in Argo territory. Allen sending 3 to the right. Out of the shotgun, goes back the other way to Drummond. Robert Drummond catches the football. And it is a short gain for the Lions.
Well, you can tell that the BC Lions definitely have a little bit of bounce in their step after a big interception by Glenn Rogers, and that's really all Adam Rita wanted to see in the second half, is a little emotion on the football field, and sometimes it just takes one veteran or one big play, and right now Glenn Rogers has done both. Veteran DB comes up with a big one.
Drummond was used extensively with the Argos over the last couple of years as a receiver, but only 5 catches this season heading into this game. Under pressure, Allen gets it away. Drummond, touchdown Lions, and he was wide open.
Damon Allen paid the price. Drummond was running the little wheel route down the sideline, but it took him a long time to get to the end zone, so Damon Allen had to hold on to the football. Veteran quarterback has to hold it on the double pump. Drummond is wide open, but Allen took a big hit to deliver that strike.
So just as we mentioned how well used Drummond was last year, and in '96 when Adam Rita was in Toronto as a receiver, he gets the first touchdown of this game. And as bad a half as the BC Lions had, they can look at the scoreboard and take solace in the fact that they're only down by 2 with lots of time to go. 11:22 left. Yeah, there's reason to climb the lumber. We'll be back. Robert Drummond had a lot of touchdowns as a Toronto Argonaut. He's got his first as a BC Lion. 3 plays, 64 yards, and the Lions hit pay dirt.
Boy, was he open. Here's Robert Drummond right here. He's going to come down here. Watch Jet come underneath. Antonius Bonner and Clifton Abraham are over to the left of your screen. They're both going to jump Jimmy Cunningham. When they do that, they forget about Robert Drummond, who is all alone on the goal line.
In the first half, Robert Drummond had 5 net yards. In the second half, he has over 7 times that, 36, thanks to that 33-yard reception for the touchdown. What a remarkable player he has been, and what a great season he had last year with the Argos. Had he not been hurt, he could have had 1,000 in receiving and 1,000 in rushing. It is Don Hitson, an electrifying kick returner in his own right, coming up near the 40-yard line for the Argonauts.
Well, part of the learning curve for a young quarterback, and Jay Barker, is that when you do make a mistake and you have some you have to overcome some problems and some adversity, and Jay Barker threw a ball he shouldn't have, gave it to Glenn Rogers Jr., who then, of course, the Lions come down and score. Now's his chance to try and rebound from that. It's part of the learning curve for a young quarterback. We'll see how he responds.
And Barker has gotten better with each outing, it seems. He got knocked out of the game against Saskatchewan in his first one late in the first half with a mild concussion, but looked better against Calgary last week. And the numbers are good tonight. Flags on the field, Clemens with the ball, and a short gain for the pinball. And yet, as we keep hammering home, Barker's numbers mean nothing when you look at the fact that there are no touchdowns on the board for Toronto and hanging on to a 2-point lead.
And I think, again, David Benefield.
Offside, BC, number 45. First down repeated.
David Benefield came out of his 3-point stance. 3-point meaning your 2 feet and your 1 hand down on the turf. And he lifts that, once he lifts that hand up and gets into the neutral zone, he's offside again. So they may have a little more jump in their step, but they're still committing some of the same penalties.
Lots of flags along the line of scrimmage tonight. Procedure calls and offsides. Out of the shotgun. Fake the snap to pinball. Barker throws over the middle. Oh! Wow. No catch, but nearly a great one by Darryl Mitchell in a crowd.
Oh, boy. Dale Joseph's playing his first year at free safety for the BC Lions. He was a halfback in Saskatchewan last year. This is what you want from the safety spot. He's in the middle, he reads the ball in the air, and he comes across and puts his helmet right in the ear hole of Daryl Mitchell, who had made the catch and dropped it because he was separated from the football by Daryl Joseph.
Ever notice how excited Glenn gets when a safety just drills a receiver?
I'd like to see that.
The eyes get wide. Well, Dave Chater's eyes get wide when he sees a quarterback, and he has time to come in and make the sack, and that's the third one he has been in on tonight, and that's all his.
Well, we talked about Chad Folk's problems on the snaps, and he's also had problems trying to block Dave Chaters, who is just having himself a great game. When you go for the cut block and try and cut the defensive lineman's legs, you better get him. He takes one hurdle step, puts those hands down, and pretty good agility. And Jay Barker has no chance to deliver this football with big Dave Chaters right there.
Barker has taken some punishment, to be sure, tonight, with a lot of pressure put on.
He truly has. He keeps coming back in this football game, but boy, has he been pounded, especially late in that second quarter and early in this third. Wow. That's where Kerwin Bell, the quarterback on the sideline, says, you know, you had a guy wide open down the field.
Yeah, thanks, Kerwin.
Yeah, thanks a lot. All I could see was 74.
I'm sure Kerwin Bell knows all about it. Time in the NFL, and a great year in Edmonton in 1995.
Well, we talked about it earlier, but this could be a good situation for Don Matthews. Kerwin Bell comes back. Jay Barker has some playing experience. If anything happens again to Kerwin Bell later in the season, he will not hesitate to put Jay Barker in because he'll have the experience. So if you're going to have your starting quarterback get hurt, have it early.
It must be a difficult thing for Kerwin Bell to endure. I mean, when he first signed, he had to hear all the questions about being Doug Flutie's replacement, and now doesn't even get the chance to prove it with the injury. But in a few weeks' time, Cunningham with flags down for no yards and has it about the 30-yard line. Well, Damon Allen in this last drive took it for the touchdown to Robert Drummond. He'll get another shot now. For all the latest news, scores, highlights, Sports Desk following CFL Live, Darren Detition and Dave Randorf. And find out what else happened in the Canadian Football League. Not only that, baseball and British Open highlights as well. Tiger Woods in a tie for the lead over at Royal Birkdale. Now more movement at the line. That will cost the Lions 5 yards again.
You know, I was talking to some of the offensive linemen before the game with the BC Lions, and I asked them about their...
BC number 64, still first down.
I asked him about this ongoing procedure problem, and he said that a couple of times it wasn't Mo Elawanibi I was talking to, it was actually Dan Payne. Mo Elawanibi got the penalty in that instance, but he was saying that sometimes there's a miscommunication with Damon Allen saying the snap counts on 1 or on 2. They get to the line of scrimmage and they didn't hear. They thought it was 1 or 2, but it comes down to basic execution, and it's just been sloppy for the Lions.
So 1st and 15 for Allen, and it's off Cunningham's fingers. And his falls incomplete to set up 2nd down and long.
Well, that's a couple that Damon Allen's had tipped. Kelly Wiltshire tipped one that turned into a Maurice Miller interception, and I believe that was tipped as well. And you know what? Had it not been tipped and Jimmy the Jet catch it, he was going nowhere fast.
Well, whatever Adam Rita said in the locker room at the half had an immediate impact on that first drive. Now it's 2nd and 15. It falls incomplete for Jim Sandusky, and not exactly on target again for Damon Allen.
Yeah, Damon Allen had Sandusky open, but he kind of overthrew him, threw it a little too far to the sideline. Jim Sandusky truly struggled last week versus Edmonton. He dropped 3 first down passes, and He's in there in replacement of Mike Trevathan, who is still a few weeks away from returning to the lineup. Trevathan has had a hamstring problem. He hurt his other hamstring in practice before this week's game, and Sandusky will continue to play until he comes back.
And it is taken by Hitson at his 40. The Passaglia punt. Hitson's got speed, has room. Hitson could go and will go. Touchdown, Argonauts. And for the second straight game, Don Hitson does it, returning a punt for a major.
Don Matthews has said that Hitson did return the big punt, but he let some balls bounce last week, and he was still evaluating him as a punt returner. Well, I would say after back-to-back touchdowns that he may have found his man, because great speed and good vision downfield from Hitson, who could see the whole field and just picked his way into the open area, and a huge play for the Argos.
Electrifying product of Murray State. And he got the role after James Dye, who was the kick returner, left the Argos after week 1 for personal reasons, went home. And so Hitson had his shot last week and got the touchdown. And the move pays off again there as Prefontaine nails the convert to reestablish the 9-point lead for the Argos, now 16-7.
Well, Don Hitson, what he has to do is get the corner on this return. It's designed to go to the outside, and you have to beat the contained man on the play. The contained man, it looked like on that particular play for the Lions, was David Benefield. He got caught inside, and then it's just a foot race. And you mentioned it, Rod. This guy's got some great speed, and he showed it there.
They call him Cato. And Cato has a touchdown for the Argos. A week ago tonight at Skydome against the Calgary Stampeders. The kick by Tony Martino. And this was Cato's first touchdown in the CFL.
Whoa! Nice little shake and bake right there.
Some nice moves along the way, and Martino last one with a chance.
Yeah, one-on-one with the kicker is no contest.
The Argos have had a string of great punt returners. I mean, Mike Pinball Clements is still there. They don't want him doing it anymore to extend his career.
Right.
We mentioned in '96, in order to do that for Pinball, they got in this guy, Jimmy the Jet Cunningham, who had a remarkable year returning kicks for them.
Well, part of it is the whole special teams play, too, Rod. I mean, Don Matthews does a good job of schemes.
Speaking of the Jet, Al Shipman faked the reverse to him, and Shipman still has it. He's known for being pretty exciting on the special teams and gets it up across the BC 30-yard line to the 32, where the Lions, with some lost momentum, will have to regain it now if they want to win this ball game. 8:20 to go in the third quarter.
Yeah, Damon Allen looks exactly the same as he did in the first quarter as far as his demeanor. Just comes out. He's been in this boat of many, many times before and has to try and steal back some momentum. Big plays, especially on special teams, give you such a great lift. He knows the defense is going to be coming. They're going to be fired up. This is where you try and throw some of those draw screen type of plays in and take advantage of their momentum.
There's no question when Adam Rita went to the Lions, he wanted to get the kind of offense that worked so well with the Argos. Completed to Sandusky. Over the 40, first down BC and more. To the 43-yard line with a flag in the play, and it's going against the Lions. Another momentum killer.
Well, Damon Allen has got to be, he's got to be getting frustrated.
Holding, BC number 63. First down repeated.
And it is the center, Scott Hendrickson, called in the hold.
Well, you know which guy the center is. Right. He'll be the guy right in front of Damon Allen. Well, watch 63 as he's going to get tied up. Now, the deal on the holding call is if your hands get inside, I believe it was Jermaine Haley, if your hands get inside, you can grab the shirt. If those arms get outside the shoulder pads like they did on that play, you get called for holding.
Penalties have killed the Lions in the past, and they're doing the same thing tonight. Wide open. Sandusky again. Has some room outside and gets hit hard. It's taken out of bounds, and he gets back to the original line of scrimmage.
Well, we talked about how the Lions throughout the first part of this season have taken turns to a man. We saw Mo Elwanibi on the last series with the procedure call, and then Jim Sandusky can't catch up to a pass. Now Jim Sandusky catches a pass and Hendrickson has the holding call. It's one after another. Adam Rita just doesn't have any answers. You can't really say anything. You just say, guys.
Well, if he's collecting fines to put in a jar, maybe for a team party at the end of the year, it's going to be some party. The way it's gone in the first 3 games. That one is knocked away brilliantly. Kelly Wiltshire.
Wiltshire is the former DB, converted to that linebacker spot, and he shows his DB, the old form from the defensive secondary with his closing speed. You're going to see Drummond cross the middle, and a great closing speed by Wiltshire. You know what? When you break on the football and come under it like that and go for the ball, if you miss, it's a huge gain. So it is a gamble. You have to be confident in your abilities. Kelly Wiltshire obviously was on that play.
And with it 3rd and 9, the Lions, of course, will be punting. Bisaglia. It's another nice one away. And it's Cato Hitson back for it. He'll have no shot at returning that one for a TD. It rolls out of bounds at the Argo 36-yard line. Barker and the Argos have a 9-point lead. They'll go to work on offense when we come back. In the UK, it is simply known as the Open, the 127th British Open, a major with some major names at the top of the leaderboard. Tiger Woods tied with John Huston, see Nick Price and Freddie Couples in the thick of it as well. And our coverage will continue. 2nd round tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific time. Check out the British Open from Royal Birkdale here on TSN.
And if the BC Lions offensively, with the exception of one drive, were playing golf.
I know where you're going.
They'd have a few triple bogeys.
Oh, yeah.
There'd be a couple of snowmen on that card. A couple of 8s.
And no chance at a mulligan. And I bet you they wish they could.
No chance at a mulligan.
Good shotgun snap, but big pressure. It's fumbled. And the Lions have it. Johnny Scott down to the Argos 6-yard line. BC's in business again.
Johnny Scott's in pain in the hit by Clements at the end of that play. We've talked about the problems with the center. Wasn't on that play. This was just flat out getting caught in a blitz. David Benefield came clean. You got to block David Benefield, and watch the hit on Scott's knee by Pinball Clements.
Wow.
He buckles underneath it, and now, you know he's had a rough game. He's had to fix his equipment more than once from being hit, but this was just a missed assignment from the offensive line, and David Benefield comes clean. And at the end of that play, try to explain some of the class of Pinball Clements. Johnny Scott was on the field. Clements over there talking to him, felt bad about it, and it's just nice to see that Johnny Scott is making the way off the field on under his own power.
Yeah, Pinball did hover around Johnny Scott, obviously very worried about him and feeling bad about it. That's the type of player Clements is. And you saw Jimmy the Jet Cunningham. They were good friends playing together with the Argos. Had his arm around him and talking to him about it.
Yeah, he basically was just saying, hey, no problem. That was a clean hit, but the type of guy that man is, you know, he never likes to see anybody get injured, even if it's the opposition. And it was a clean hit and a good tackle. In fact, a touchdown saving tackle by Clements. You know what he's like. He's go over there and make sure the guy's okay.
Ball stands at the Argos 7-yard line. As there still is a player down for BC.
Well, it's hard to see the number. Billy Rochelle out there talking it over. The guy's wearing a towel, though, so it's probably a DB. Because, you know, the linemen don't usually wear those towels. It's Glenn Rogers Jr.
Strange, because we didn't notice him lying down on the field after the play, although all the attention was down around the 5-yard line where Johnny Scott was.
Yeah, and Rod, it's pretty hot down here. It's very hot in this building, and maybe Glenn Rogers, I'm speculating, but he could have caught a cramp on his way to the bench or something and just had to kind of keel over to stretch it out. Looks like he's holding that left arm.
From the 7-yard line, it is 1st and goal. Lions down by 9. Allen, end zone. Drummond off off his hands. No good, out of bounds. And more injuries.
Well, Drummond is basically running the same pattern that he ran on his earlier touchdown, just getting to the outside and going down the sideline. But this time, safety Lester Smith comes over. He hits his own man.
Kelly Wiltshire took the hit, the worst of it, and he was the one lying down after the play and is still very slow to get up as the training staff has a look at him.
You get off over there in that pavement. Not a whole lot of yards between the end of the end zone and where that pavement starts, and that's where Wiltshire ended up because Lester Smith sort of hit him and then rolled on his legs. You can see where the turf ends and the pavement begins, and both players ended up over there.
In his second year, a first-round pick of the Argos in 1996 draft went to James Madison.
And when he was at James Madison, he was also a track guy. It's amazing to believe that a track guy would move up and play linebacker.
A big, fast track guy.
That's nothing against track guys. They just generally don't have that kind of mentality.
Here's Allen again on second down and goal. Nowhere to go, and he's wrapped up and taken down. And it's Todrick McIntosh in his first year with the Argos getting the job done to set up field goal.
Great discipline by Todrick McIntosh in a first year. When you see the quarterback running like that, a defensive lineman has a tendency to go low underneath to his low hip to try and catch him, but McIntosh stayed high and kept his contained responsibilities so that when Damon Allen turned back the other way, McIntosh was standing right there and was having nothing of it. But really good discipline for him to stay high like that.
For us to talk about how poor the offenses have been at scoring points is but half the story without praising the defenses and the job that both have done in this team. And more trouble for the Lions. It has been that kind of night as the boos continue to rain down.
The snap looked clean. Julio Caravetta is the holder on the field goals, and I just think he took a peek. When you're going to catch that snap, you have to make sure you look the ball in, much like a receiver down the field, and then put it on the tee. Sometimes as a holder, you get into trouble when you take a peek down to the tee first, where you have to place the ball just before you secure the catch. I think that's what caught Julio Caravetta, and that one just got through his fingers.
There have been several fundamental mistakes in this game, and as a result of that one, with 5:14 to go in the third, no damage to the Argos. On the shuffle to pinball, Clements has a first down and more up over the Argo 45-yard line. A gain of 14 yards.
Rod, this is that shovel series again to Mike Clements, and it really isolates David Benefield on the play. Benefield has to make a decision. Here he is right here. He has to decide whether or not to go to Clements low or to stay high to Jay Barker. He picks Barker. Clements picks up the football, and that's why he has that big void, because he had one guy to beat, and that was Benefield.
1st and 10. They hand off to Clements again. Getting up closer to midfield to about the 53-yard line. Another good gain along the ground for number 31.
The drop by Julio Caravetta really becomes a momentum changer, you know, with the Lions down there after the big fumble recovery from Johnny Scott. Gets down knocking on the door, and they don't come away with any points. Julio Caravetta drops a field goal attempt, and now the momentum switches right back to the Argos. And I mean, he is also the quarterback out there, and all he says right there to Adam Reed is quite simply, that was my fault. Snap was there.
A gain of 7 by Clements to set up 2nd and 3 for the Argos. Up near midfield. And there's that tight set they show. It's Dwayne Dimitrition with it, who takes it down for the first down to the 45-yard line of BC. A different sort of offensive arrangement for the Argos.
Well, it's an interesting play because Jay Barker actually has to try and block on it. He's going to pitch that ball back to Dimitrition, and then he leads it to the right. See, he's pitched that ball back. Now watch, he comes out to the right and runs into his own man there, Demetrius Maxey. I mean, You're asking your quarterback to try and throw a block. I don't know about those odds.
Right. Demetrius Maxey, though, defensive lineman, does get in on these plays every now and then. And even carries the ball. That one falls incomplete for Dimitrišian to set up 2nd and 10 for the Argos.
Well, Jay Barker had a little bit of pressure, and good news for BC Lions fans is that Johnny Scott is back in the game, and he was the guy providing the pressure. Remember, he went off with the knee, but Johnny Scott was again right in the quarterback's face. And I guarantee you one guy Jay Barker has got to know pretty good in this game. That guy.
Oh, yeah. Well acquainted by now.
So you're the guy they call the freak of nature. Well, now I know why.
I think 74 Dave Chaters has got to introduce himself a few times tonight to Jay Barker, who's taken it from the shotgun. Will throw again for Daryl Mitchell. Had to turn around. Got his hands on it, but it falls incomplete.
But a good throw by Jay Barker, because Daryl Mitchell was running down the seam, and Jocelyn Borgella had the inside position, in other words, into the middle of the field. So Barker has to throw this ball to the outside, and he puts it right where he needs to put it. You see 27 Borgella on the inside position. He can't get it in there. Barker throws the strike, and now he has to hope that Daryl Mitchell comes up with a miraculous catch. Just can't do it on that play, but a really good throw by Jay Barker right where he had to put the ball.
You could certainly argue that it was a catchable ball, although it would have been a tremendous catch given how little time he had to react when he turned himself around.
Yeah, it's tough to twist your body, but he has made a few of those.
He sure has. Mitchell, the rookie of the year in '97, and not suffering from the sophomore jinx. High snap and a fake. Prefontaine's going to take off. He has lots of room, but he does not get the first down.
Don Matthews calls Noel Prefontaine an athlete who is also a kicker. And he will like to give his kickers the green light that if they don't see a real good pass rush to take off. But Sean Graham, whose assignment on that play is to make sure that Noel Prefontaine kicks the football, did his job correctly and chased him down.
He did have lots of room. I guess the trouble was it was a 3rd and 10. And he ended up getting about 9 yards on it, so they turn it over on downs. And the Lions take over. Been good breaks, both teams on this night, defensively speaking. Al Shipman with a rare carry and takes it up for a gain of about 3 yards on the play.
Yeah, no question, Al Shipman is not going to get a lot of balls out of the backfield like he did on that play, but they're called tendency breakers. Teams watch a team on film. You know that Robert Drummond's going to be the man carrying the football, but every now and then you give one to Al Shipman just so defenses have to respect it.
Shipman, a running back now, but started the season as a slot back. They had Jamal Willis in the lineup, but they cut him. He was so much like Robert Drummond, I guess the thinking being, why do you need 2 exactly like that? Out of the shotgun, that was actually a gain of 5, so 2nd and 5. Good catch. Sandusky. First down, BC, down to the 41-yard line, Toronto.
Unbelievable concentration by Jim Sandusky. We talked about when a defensive back gambles and cuts under. Wiltshire earlier made the play. This time Marcelo Simmons guesses and guesses wrong. If you're going to come underneath, you have got to get your hands on the football. If you don't, it turns into a big play. Concentration by Sandusky allows the catch. Marcelo Simmons' gamble is why he got the ball.
Gain of 28 yards. Another big play for BC. There haven't been many tonight, but significant. Looking for another one here for English. Hits him. Incomplete. My goodness. And he was down near pay dirt.
Damon Allen cannot throw the football better than that. Andrew English saw, I believe it was the corner on the play, Clifton Abraham, who's waving his hands, and that distracts him just enough. In fact, did he get his finger on that hand, or on that football, excuse me? Damon Allen can't believe it. He can't throw the ball any better. He's going to go up to Andrew English in the huddle and say, Andrew, the ball is your friend. On that particular play.
Except on that play,
it kind of beat him up.
We have had some interesting, to say the least, momentum swings in this game, and a flag goes down. That was another one. Al Shipman on the catch down about the 30-yard line. Interesting to see what happens here.
Well, if this is holding again, BC,
and it's
the
against
Bluebirds could be deafening in this room.
It is against BC, so the gain is negated, and it would have been around first down yardage.
Holding, BC number 63. Second down, repeat it.
And another holding call against the center, Scott Hendrickson.
Spent 5 years with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, came over here and moved to center. When he was in Saskatchewan, he played the guard position and tackle occasionally, but he has moved to center this year, and Scott Hendrickson has had problems handling Demetrius Maxey, who, by the way, happens to be one of the toughest inside defensive linemen in the game.
I think a lot of linemen have had trouble handling Demetrius Maxey. So Allen again on 2nd and 20. Under pressure. Gets away from it initially, but he's down now around midfield, and another loss for BC.
And guess who he must have heard us talking about? I believe it was Demetrius Maxey who ends up with the sack on the play. Damon Allen did a nice job to just buy a little bit of time, but he was running into his own men. At the end of this play, Jamie Terrace almost tackles him. He comes up the middle. You'll see number 60. He almost tackles him there, and then Demetrius Maxey says, no, that's my job. Slides in there and gets credit for the tackle.
Well, defenses should still get credit on this evening, as they have for these two teams so far this season. Offense is getting little and deserving little credit.
Well, Rod, the offense has played for BC poorly. I mean, the execution has been poor in this game, and yes, Toronto has a good defense, but
Hitson takes it at his 10 and picks up about 15 yards in the return up over the 25-yard line for Toronto. A 47-yard kick and a 16-yard return. 16-7 Argos with 1 quarter to play. The CFL live control.
You're watching CFL Live, and we're at the quarter. Here's your host, James Duthie.
Okay, welcome back. We talked earlier about BC's need to get big plays. They got a couple, especially on defense in that quarter. But, Eric, the defense gets you the ball inside the 5-yard line. You have to come up with something.
James, in that situation, you expect to get 7 points, but you absolutely have to get 3. Special teams mistakes just continue to haunt the Lions, Chris.
Well, not just special team mistakes. I mean, we have to be realistic and look at it. This is one sloppy football game played by guys who aren't prepared to play tonight, whether it's mental or physical or emotional. We've had 2 holding penalties at center. We've had maybe 3 procedure penalties on the offensive line. We've had 3 shotgun snaps. We've had unnecessary roughness on a quarterback. I mean, obviously the team probably that's going to win tonight will make the most mistakes. I mean, this is going to be one least mistakes, one ugly film session tomorrow morning. And it's disappointing to see it at this point, James. I mean, these guys should be well prepared and should be able to execute with some level of consistency throughout the game. I mean, this in a lot of ways is one of the worst games I've seen in a long time.
And you never know, the way this is going, the team with the most mistakes might win this one.
That's exactly right.
We got a couple other finals in from you from earlier on tonight. It was a close one. Calgary came back with a couple late touchdowns, but Montreal wins it 29-26, and Saskatchewan holds off the Eskimos 28-14, the final on that one. 15 minutes to go in BC for 4th quarter action. Here's Glenn Suter and Rod Smith.
Okay, thank you, James. 23 points on the board, 16 for Barker and the Argos. And the numbers have definitely been down in terms of points scored in 1998. The average last year was around 55. And so far, heading into tonight's games, heading into week 3, the average number of points was just under 40 at 39.9 a game.
Rod, the BC Lions have had some injury problems, obviously. Dave Donaldson has now moved into the game to play the corner. I don't see Steve Muhammad on the field. Well, no, I stand corrected. Steve Muhammad is out there, but they've thought, well, I'm going to figure out which guy is hurt. It's Dale Joseph, the safety.
Joseph is out. Argos go to work and hand it off to Pinball. Clements takes it, dances, tries to cut back inside, but they do finally wrap him up. But another good gain on 1st down, though, for the Argos. Gain of 5 on that play, and you look at the stats through 3, and to no surprise, the Argos looking better, certainly in passing yardage, you see.
Well, how big could this number be if Jay Barker doesn't come up with some big recoveries on Chad Folk snaps that went awry?
Right.
I mean, that could have been up in double figures.
He took 2 big losses, and the other time managed to get it away when the shotgun snaps were high. Now he's standing under center Chad Folk. And the 2nd down and 5. Passing wide open. Pinball. Pass midfield, still on his feet. Pinball Clements to the BC 40.
Well, they took one out of the Lions playbook. Robert Drummond got open on a very similar play for BC for their touchdown. Pinball's in the backfield, just kind of works his way down the sideline. All the motion of the play is going to Jay Barker's left, and Rashid Gale bid on that motion. Flew over there to that side of the field, and he left his responsibility to the sideline. And that's why Clements got in behind him.
The big first down after a gain of 41 yards for the Argos. And look at the receiving yards for Clements. And look at the rushing yards. I mean, all things considered, all-purpose back. He has been that ever since he joined the league in 1989. And still going. And that one in and out of the hands of Paul Mazzotti, falling incomplete. Dwayne Dimitrition, excuse me, number 28.
The panel was talking about execution, and both teams have really had their moments. We talked about Chad Folk and his snaps, drop passes, penalties. This truly has been, I would agree with the panel, just a very sloppy football game. And you know, both teams have to go in and just say, listen, execution has to improve if we want to have any success in this season. I mean, every game is important, especially when you haven't won yet. And neither team seemed to be ready to play.
Although this offense in white of the Argos has had a good night moving the football. And there again, Daryl Mitchell inside the 20 down to about the 17-yard line. And another Toronto first down.
Well, Jay Barker is getting some time to throw the football now, which is giving him the opportunity to look downfield and let some patterns develop. And Daryl Mitchell a couple of times tonight has come underneath the safety, who is Dale Joseph, and just in behind the linebackers, Bruce Dixon and Jocelyn Borgella. So it has been a lot of zone defense from the BC Lions, and Jay Barker, if you give him time, will find the holes in that zone.
Mitchell entering the night led the CFL in receiving yards with 238. Pinball Clements again, another Argo touchdown. Their 2nd offensive touchdown only this season.
Well, we've seen the play a few times tonight. It's out of that shovel series. Pinball goes one way, steps back, and heads to his left. This time the option man was Troy Bailey. He came high to the quarterback, and they were hoping that DB Mike Crum would come in the game as the extra defensive back, would come up and get the good angle on Pinball. He can't do it, and Clements finds himself doing the dance in the end zone.
And a little more breathing room for the Toronto Argonauts, who certainly have deserved overall to have the substantial lead in this game, and they do on the convert by Noel Prefontaine. Add to their lead. High fives all around for Jay Barker. 23-7 Argos. The Argos with a 16-point lead, and this was the 2nd touchdown.
Blood all over his pants and his elbow pads. He's been beat up, but he sure has shown some poise, and he's done a nice job of executing the plays when they needed to.
21 for 32 for 321 yards, and the 1 touchdown on the shuffle pass. They fake the reverse. It's Jimmy Cunningham. Got some room up the middle, and then he fumbles the football, but they say no, he was down at the 35-yard line. The kicker Noel Prefontaine down there involved, looking to get his hands on that ball.
Yeah, he's made some tackles on special teams. Noel Prefontaine last week made a couple of special teams tackles on kickoffs, and I mean, that's really noble as the kicker to go down and want to be involved, but I'm not sure how smart it is. If your kicker gets hurt, it obviously leaves a huge hole, and I don't know if Don Matthews would like him to do that all season.
Plus, isn't it usually the kicker's assignment to stay back a little bit?
Yeah, the safety usually.
They'll dump it off to Robert Drummond. Damon Allen does. He gets over the 40 for 2nd and short for the Lions. It's been a slow start with his new team, the BC Lions, for Robert Drummond. Signed late, so missed the preseason. Did not play in either of the Lions preseason games. And certainly a slow start to the season for him.
Yeah, and he's had that quad injury throughout the first 2 games of the season. The team is saying officially it's 100%, but
looks to me like it's probably about 90, 80.
He does have a touchdown tonight. Al Shipman can't hang on to it. Would have been a first down instead. BC will be punting again.
Well, I think it's close to time when Adam Rita has to start thinking about 3-down football. I mean, when you look at the score 23-7 and you really have not had any momentum but for one series, you know, it's almost time to just say, let's just throw it down the field, 3-down football. We really have nothing to lose.
Adam Rita yesterday talked about the pressure of going 0-3 to start, and he downplayed it because a lot of people have said this is a very big game for him and for the BC Lions. Hitson taking it on the bounce, no yards, clearly. The contact was made about the same time the ball was arriving in Hitson's hands.
Nick Richards is the guy who made the hit. It's just a matter of whether or not Hitson touches the foot. Whoa.
No yards. BC number 39.
I was going to say,
First down, Toronto.
it depends on whether or not he touched it before he actually got possession of it, because then no yards, obviously. But no, not on that play.
Maybe he thought, I'm within the restraining zone, I may as well take a shot because they're going to throw the flag on me anyway, right?
Or maybe Nick Richards just decided, you know what, I'm so frustrated, I'm just going to hit somebody.
Look at the scoring drive before that made it 23-7 in 5 plays, and that shuffle pass to Mike Pinball Clements, extending what has been a remarkable career with another touchdown. And as mentioned before, flags down at the start of the play again. We've seen a lot of that tonight.
Procedure, Toronto, number 62. Still first down.
Countless procedure calls tonight for both teams.
Sorry, Rod. Yeah, the fans here in BC are likely amazed that didn't go against them. There's the penalty situation. 12 for the Lions. You know, last year, this is a team that averaged about 12 as well. In fact, we're the most penalized team in the league. This year, they're having around the same amount per game, but they seem to be in crucial situations this year.
1st and 15 now for the Argos. Up by 16, looking for more. Looking there for Nigel Williams. And his first catch as a Toronto Argonaut. Williams just acquired from the Alouettes for a first-round pick earlier this week.
Yeah, Nigel Williams coming over in that trade from Montreal. Don Matthews has wanted Williams in his lineup for a couple of years now. That's his first catch. He's going to work slowly into the offense and figure out exactly what his role will be. But Don Matthews really likes Nigel Williams. They love his size at 6'4", 206, and thinks now coming into his 4th season in the CFL that he's really ready to take that next step and become a big play kind of receiver.
He was a regular with the Alouettes last year, but the addition of Ben Cahoon made it difficult for Nigel Williams to find a spot for Montreal, as the short yardage situation there. No gain for Barker.
That was a big play by Jason Bryant for the BC Lions. He comes from the backside from the left of your screen, and he was unblocked. Because the play side kind of got stuffed up, Jason Bryant got a chance to run down Demetrician and catch him from behind.
So 3rd and a couple for the Argos. Prefontaine to be punting again. 10:22 on the clock. Frustration setting in, to be sure, the BC Lions. They'll get the ball back. And Al Shipman won't have any chance at this one, or will he? It does stay in bounds and taking it at the 25 and going nowhere after that. BC's got the ball. The Argos have the lead. The Lions are down by 16 points. The schedule gets tougher for the Toronto Argonauts, so a win tonight for them would certainly be nice. They got the Edmonton Eskimos next week, July the 23rd, and for tickets, call 888, and you see the rest of the number there. Check out the Toronto Argonauts at Skydome. Looking to get in the win column tonight. And intercepted. Kelly Wiltshire And a big return down to the 15-yard line.
Kelly Wiltshire's had a great game in this game, Rod. He's knocked a pass down that was intercepted earlier in the game by Maurice Miller, and watch the great catch. He looks like a receiver in this one, coming underneath the coverage. David Allen trying to move the ball down the field and make something happen, and Kelly Wiltshire goes up with one hand, sticks a fork in that pigskin, and heads down the field.
A great play by Kelly Wiltshire, who was injured earlier in the half. Obviously seems to be just fine now.
You always keep your first interception of the season. That goes in the trophy case.
And how many you got in the trophy case?
I never counted interceptions. I had 51.
And I assume you had at least one every year, so for every year you played, you definitely have one, right?
Yeah.
Under pressure, Barker gets out of it. End zone. Touchdown, Toronto. Andre Batson, product of York University, picking up the major, his first as a Toronto Argonaut.
Nice patience from Jay Barker there, because he could have dumped that ball off to Dwayne Demetrician out in the right flat, but he fakes the handoff. Demetrician comes across, it's kind of open, but he wants more. And this is what we talked about, becoming hungry in the red zone when you have a chance to score. And Jay Barker looks downfield and finds the touchdown rather than just dumping it off.
Batson was a star, all-Canadian with Tommy Arnott's York Yeomen. One of the excellent players in a program that really turned it on in the mid-90s. And the convert is good, and the lead is growing now up to 30-7.
Well, this is the play that sets up that touchdown. It's Kelly Wiltshire with the unbelievable one-handed catch, and if he keeps doing things like that, Don Matthews just may put him on offense.
And what's encouraging, Glenn, is they get to the red zone and they get the ball in.
Absolutely, and what's even more encouraging for Don Matthews and Jay Barker is that he is now going to get a win under his belt. As a rookie quarterback, that is huge for your confidence. He's going to go into next week's game versus Edmonton with twice the confidence he's had. He's got that first win under his belt, barring some sort of miraculous comeback by the BC Lions. But Don Matthews, not only is he getting Jay Barker now some experience, but he's also having some experience winning, which is equally as important.
And Don Matthews is a man who is used to winning. We mentioned at the start of the show that he last had a 3-game losing streak when he was the head coach of these BC Lions, and after the game, the GM at the time, Joe Galat, fired him. He was replaced by Larry Donovan. Don Matthews winning a Grey Cup in 1985 with Adam Rita as one of his assistants back here with BC. So Don Matthews not used to losing streaks, and it doesn't look like this one's going any longer than 2. Jimmy Cunningham up over the 40. Good return for BC, but down by a bunch of points now, 23 of them, and not much time to go. 8:59 on the clock.
Well, we talked about in the last series, if it's not 3-down football now, it never will be. Down by 23, you got to just keep it rolling, hurry up offense. You got to score 3 times. Actually, it would be 4 times. Let me redo my math here. Get my eraser out. Yeah,
well, let's see.
It'd be 3 touchdowns and a field goal.
3 8s, 24.
Yeah, so you need.
There you go.
Okay.
2-point converts. You were right the first time. It's the screen to Drummond. Good gain, first down, up near midfield for the Lions. Gain of 11 yards. Robert Drummond was saying yesterday that it has been difficult getting the type of offense that Adam Rita had and set up so wonderfully with the Argos and Doug Flutie in 1996, getting that type of offense going. And that's clearly what Adam Rita had wanted to do, and change the personnel accordingly, why Corey Philpott's not here. But it has not worked, not yet, not to the extent it did in Toronto. A pass complete to Shipman and out of bounds for a gain of about 8 yards.
With the execution, the Lions, I mean the poor execution from the BC Lions, though, in this game, Rod, I think that Adam Rita, we talked about the pressure on him. He will definitely put pressure on his team in the upcoming week of preparation. He has got to shake some things up in this lineup. He has a veteran team. a lot of new faces, but they're veterans. Someone's got to shake up in there for something to happen.
Allen to pass. And second and short, and takes off. Has the first down. And a flag deep in the secondary down. Damon Allen has not run a lot tonight. And sometimes he's most effective when he is taking off more.
Well, that's when I think he is the most effective. And I like him in two backs, like the old Edmonton days. We had two backs.
Legal contact, an eligible receiver. Toronto, number 9. First down, BC.
Marcelo Simmons is called. That Argo penalty, so the sticks, of course, moving anyway, and the Damon Allen gain up to the 39-yard line of the Argos. Give Jay Barker and that Argonaut offense credit. It took a while for the points to come, but they have come, and lots of first downs. They moved the ball well. Robert Drummond trying to do the same here down to the 30-yard line. Drummond has been busier in the second half. Had the reception for the touchdown. The only points on the board for BC.
Well, you know, when you're a coach in a game like this, and the BC Lions' Adam Rita will be watching the film very closely, because what he wants to see right now is who quits and who keeps going hard. Robert Drummond on that last play kept banging it up in there. That's the type of athlete that Robert Drummond is. But I can guarantee you that Adam Rita during this week will watch the film, and he's going to see with the big deficit if anyone quits on him, and they won't be around very long.
Now, there has been a lot of talk about what happens with Adam Rita. What sort of pressure is he under if they do go to 0-3? Outwardly anyway, to the media, to us, he wasn't really willing to admit that this was an extremely important game. I mean, they all are, and he acknowledges that. But, you know, for his job, or for the team, he preaches patience, and he says he has the full support of an owner he truly admires in David Braley.
Yeah, I don't think David Braley or Glenn Ringdahl, general manager for the BC Lions, will panic at this point. I think Adam Rita will have his job for the next couple of weeks. He obviously has to turn things around. I mean, I have never been one to say that it helps you to fire your coach after 3 or 4 games. I just don't see the benefit of doing that. If you're going to make a change, do it at the end of the year. Give the guy a chance to turn things around.
Play action fake. Allen looking end zone for Sandusky. There's some bumping going on, but no flags down, but it falls incomplete on that second and short. So it'll be third and short, and obviously the Lions go for it. Not much question, down by 23 midway through the fourth quarter. To get back to what you were saying, though, Adam Rita definitely gave more than a hint that there's something in place for him to stay in the organization, and maybe even decide to, you know, if ultimately it comes to that, that he'd even fire himself, I don't know, or decide to go on to more of a management position if someone else coached the team. He certainly alluded to that.
Well, I think this organization has put a master plan together that is long-term, 5-10 years down the road. And in that plan, I truly believe that that's what Adam Rita will do. He'll move into a management position that he likely won't get fired as the head coach, but may replace himself.
Right. And obviously, he would not want to do that during a season. Another flag in the play as they go for it on short yardage.
You know, to get back to that point, though, Ron, I mean, Don Matthews is another clear example. He's been fired before, the winningest coach in all-time CFL history. And I don't understand how Adam Rita, who has been a great coach throughout his career, is now 0-3 and all of a sudden becomes a bad coach.
Toronto, number 41, first down, BC.
No question he has his work cut out for him in the next couple of weeks, and they are crucial, and the pressure is on him. But you don't just become a bad coach after 3 games. He's doing the same things he's done. Now, he may have to change some things up and start to light a fire under some of these players, but Adam Rita is still a great football coach and a good football man, and that doesn't change because of a couple of losses.
He has rings as an assistant, as a coordinator, but as a head coach, too. With the team he faces tonight, the Argos, end zone touchdown. Jimmy the Jet Cunningham.
We talked about the guys who won't quit. No matter what the score in the football game is, Drummond is one of them, Damon Allen is one of them, and so is Jimmy the Jet. He straight out runs by the coverage, great speed down the seam, and very easy to lay down in situations like this. You're depressed, you don't really want to show up, but you got to rise above and keep playing hard, and Jimmy Cunningham has done it.
No thoughts of going for 2 in this situation. They take the extra point, and they dig into that substantial lead a little bit, putting 7 more on the board. 30-14, however, and this guy gets to climb the timber again. The Lions have another touchdown, still trailing 30-14, and the guy who scored it, Jimmy the Jet, is down. Training staff attending to him.
Rod, the BC Lions just came up with the big scoring drive to try and get some respectability back here, but I have to tell this quick little story. Danny Barrett, he just finally saw something positive as the offensive coordinator up in the booth. He just walked by our booth to take a look at the scoring drive in the last play. He poked his head in and said, "Is there any room up here for me, guys?" He kind of shook his head with his ugly look on his face saying, "This is pretty bad." And you know, when you're coach, assistant coach, and the head man's got the pressure on him, you're wondering about the future.
Sure. Understandable. And here's another guy who carries great credentials. Now coaching, but as a player, Danny Barrett. But yeah, it has not been a pretty sight. Notwithstanding 2 touchdowns, this guy's had a good night. Pinball Clements.
Boy, he sure has. You know, I mean, you always hope when your team has a young quarterback and has to go with a rookie at quarterback that the rest of the guys sort of bring their game up a level and try and help them out. And Pinball truly has done that.
Coming off a remarkable season last year when, with Jimmy the Jet Cunningham gone to BC, or actually trying the NFL first, wound up with the Lions. Clements was put back into that role of returning kicks. Fake to Clements, off to the side to Mitchell. 45. Picks up about 5 yards. Let's head back down to field level and join Farhan Lalji.
Thanks, Rod. We're here with Curtis Gallick, the first-round draft pick of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and his agent, Ken Austin. Curtis, first of all, you spent some time with the Seattle Seahawks in the NFL. Things didn't go the way you want. Tell us about that experience.
Well, it was a good experience. I got to go down there, you know, be with the best of the best. I got to learn the system and how to. They got us working out hard, so it was good. I learned some stuff.
All right, now, Ken, you guys are negotiating with Saskatchewan. Tell us how far those negotiations have been going.
Well, at this time, we broke off the negotiations. We felt that we've given all that we could give. We are definitely looking out for Curtis' best benefit. We've been offered the opportunity to go back to Seattle, possibly go to the World League. We've offered Saskatchewan 2 years and an option. We've done all that we could do. Right now, it's pretty much up to Saskatchewan to meet us halfway on that.
All right, now, Curtis, if Saskatchewan does meet you halfway and you do wind up being a Green Rider, you know you're going to be following in the footsteps of some pretty amazing Canadian free safeties that have played there.
Yeah, well, you know, I might have to put in the contract to get that number 27. You know, Glenn Steer, that guy's a player, man. He's my idol, baby.
All right, Glenn Hayes. So if just make sure when you make out the check, it's G-A-L-I-C-K, just one L in Gallic.
I love it. You know what amazes me about that, Glenn? When you and Curtis rehearsed that before the game,
yeah,
I didn't know if he was going to get it exactly that way, but he nailed it.
He nailed
exactly
it.
The way you wanted him to say it.
Yeah, he nailed it, and I wrote the check in the first in the first quarter and sent it down there. And Curtis Gallick is a talent. He, of course, out of UBC, they had the great year last year, and he will end up playing somewhere. I mean, he's too good a football player not to be.
Thunderbirds won the national championship last year, and they beat Ottawa U. Flags down again at the start. And my goodness, I saw him play in the Atlantic Bowl against Mount Allison and once again against Ottawa U when they really started to hammer receivers like Chris Avrere, Usman Tunkara. They punished him. That secondary was the biggest and toughest I've seen in Canadian college ball in a long time, and he was a leader of it.
Procedure, Toronto, number 88, still second down.
Yeah, absolutely, Rod. I mean, he's the type of guy who played corner in college. He'd likely play safety in the Canadian Football League, but he can do both. He covers well, and boy, is he a hard hitter.
That was his trademark. He left his calling card a few times last year. Second and 9.
They're offside, yeah.
Oh, boy, again, flags down. But the play gets off, and Pinball Clements is dancing around. Will not get a first down. See what happens this time.
You know, we've seen so many procedure calls, and a lot of the fans watching this game at home probably wondering, how can a team, or both teams for that matter, just jump offside so often? And it really is just disciplining.
Offside, BC, number 72, second down, repeat it.
Johnny Scott that time.
if you're dialed in mentally when you come into a football game, and I mean, obviously Johnny Scott has had a pretty good game tonight. I don't mean to pick on him in this instance, but it's just been a whole team effort for the BC Lions and a little bit for Toronto as well. You have to be focused in mentally. Watch the ball. When it moves, you move. It's discipline.
Second down handoff to Clements. Johnny Scott says, "You're going nowhere, Pinball." Pushes him back for a loss.
He truly made up for it the next play, because, you know, the great ones will always bounce back, gets a procedure call, and then just cleanly beats his man and comes up the middle. Willie Williams had no chance. And neither did Pinball. He kind of got swallowed up.
It's hard to get the hands on Pinball, but given the size differential there, I would think pretty safe once Johnny Scott got a hold of him.
Now, I'm just going to bring this up, but, you know, I could be, you know, the eternal optimist for the big finish. Saskatchewan, a couple years back, 1988, we were down by 3 touchdowns against Calgary in the first game of the regular season and came back and win. Tom Burgess was our quarterback. We won that football game. There was about 3 minutes left. You can score a lot in the Canadian Football League in a short amount of time.
And Damon Allen is the kind of quarterback that can do that. They've had a few big plays tonight, and they definitely are going to need him as Shipman takes it. Finds some room up the middle. There's a guy that can give you a big play, and that's a good return up over the BC 50-yard line. A return of 22 yards for Alfred Shipman. Game story so far, Jay Barker took him a while to find the end zone, but 349 yards passing and had a great first half and kept it going. And Don Cato Hitson, like he did last week against Calgary, returned a punt for a touchdown and a good momentum changer, if you will, because BC had scored a couple of drives earlier to get to within 2. And Mitchell and Clemens up near the top in the receiving in the CFL and having more good nights for the Argos, who have 30 points on the board and have a 16-point lead. Allen's got to start thinking big play now. Over the hands of Jimmy Cunningham, falling incomplete to set up second down and 10. We're talking about Damon Allen and Adam Rita and trying to work this offense out, and those two are very familiar with each other. 1993, they won a Grey Cup together with the Edmonton Eskimos. Rita was the offensive coordinator for Ronnie Lancaster. Damon Allen was their quarterback. 1995 in Memphis, Adam Rita, almost an associate head coach to Pepper Rogers, but ran the offense, and Damon Allen was their quarterback. They've worked together a while and worked well, but struggling this season so far, and that falls incomplete as well. And with 2:59 on the clock, got to start thinking about going for it.
You know, Damon Allen's frustration is obvious. To win in any football game, you need to make big plays. I mean, coaches talk about the big play all the time, and that means a big catch when you need it or whatever. Damon Allen just hasn't had that throughout this first part of this season.
3-minute warning. And Damon Allen is off to talk things over on the sidelines. 30-14 for the Argos. That is Frank Smith, assistant coach with the BC Lions and a former legendary coach with the UBC Thunderbirds. Won a couple of national championships with that team, and he was succeeded in that job at UBC by his son Casey.
And it's been a real tough few weeks for Frank Smith. Casey Smith, his son, is past few weeks was diagnosed with liver cancer and is battling that right now. And of course, all our prayers and thoughts go out to Casey Smith and his battle with that disease. And a lot on the mind of Frank Smith and that whole family right now. We wish him the best.
Absolutely. Punt goes into the end zone for Hitson, and he still wants to take it out. What's he doing? He doesn't get it out. So it is the single point, but he has been like a miracle worker before, running a couple back for a touchdown.
Yeah, he'll get the instruction. That's just a young mistake. But he looks like a keeper.
Absolutely.
Don Matthews has an unbelievable, uncanny ability of finding talent. I mean, I think that's his strongest point as a coach. He can go out and fill holes on his team and find the great players. And then once he has a player, he somehow has a way of getting the best out of you. And He never puts a player in his weakness. Every player has strengths and weaknesses, and Don Matthews will never put you in a position that will reveal your weakness. He just finds a way to motivate you.
Adam Rita himself said it. He called Matthews his mentor and gives him a lot of credit for what he's been able to do in the Canadian Football League. And I am sure, as Clemens has the carry on first down, I am sure that Adam Rita, or that Don Matthews, would say similar things about Adam Rita. He has entrusted him. He brought him in the early 80s when he got the job with BC. Rita was his offensive coordinator. They won a Grey Cup in '85. And when Matthews, after being fired in BC a few years later, winds up in Toronto as a head coach in 1990, he brings in his offensive coordinator, Adam Rita. Rita takes over as head coach and wins a Grey Cup.
Yeah, truly a tremendous amount of mutual respect between the two coaches. And Adam Rita said in the press conference yesterday, he said, you know, he's so great. He's my mentor, but you know what? It's my turn.
Yeah.
And maybe it is, but Don Matthews had something to say about that here tonight.
Absolutely. And it doesn't look like it'll be his turn tonight with 2:30 to go. And last year, they haven't had too many head-to-head meetings, actually. Last year they had 2, and Matthews won both of those. And back in 1994, when Matthews was the head coach with the Baltimore Stallions, Adam Rita was the head coach in Ottawa, and Matthews won that one too. So the mentor has been doing quite well and winning another one tonight. But what Adam Rita said, what he admired most about Matthews was, as you said, his ability to judge talent, but also his ability to let coaches do their jobs and trust people with things. And pinball's going nowhere that time. Wrapped up and taken down.
Rod, that's an interesting point you make about Don Matthews and letting his assistant coaches do their job. A lot of head coaches are always in the huddle with all their assistants and trying to keep their finger on the pulse of the team, so to speak, in that way. But Don Matthews has the great ability to let his assistants coach, and then they become better. And that's why an Adam Rita becomes a great head coach one day down the line, because when he was an offensive coordinator under Don Matthews, he had all the responsibilities of the offense, and he learned how to handle that pressure. That makes the transition to the head coaching job a lot easier, and it really does build good head coaches when you give them the freedom to do that.
It is third down Argos, 2:08 and counting. Noel Prefontaine to let it go from the 20-yard line, gets a good one away. Shipman can't catch up to it. And it looked like no yards there as an Argo tried to touch the ball, and they do indeed throw the flag. And the Argo player must have thought that the ball had touched Shipman as he stretched out for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not laughing at Clifton Abraham, but it looked like he got shot there. He was trying to get out of the way. I was checking for the grassy knoll. He came out of his spat. He came out of his shoes to try and get out of the way of that ball. I mean, and I'm not laughing at him. I mean, he did a nice job to try and get out of the way. Watch this. He comes down and he tries to hit. There's the grassy knoll. There was another shooter. Down he goes.
Looked like some of the shenanigans we saw at the World Cup recently over in France. The way some of the players went down. 55-yard punt by Prefontaine. And out of the shotgun, under 2 minutes to go now for Allen. 3 to the left and 3 to the right, and over the middle, completed to Shipman. But a short passing game, and a man is down for the Argos in the BC backfield. And it is Demetrius Maxey.
And this is the worst part of the game for the Toronto Argonauts. They got the big lead. They're just trying to get out of here. They definitely don't want to get anybody hurt, and especially not Demetrius Maxey, who seriously had himself a tremendous game here tonight.
And one of the few remaining from an Argonaut team that changed so substantially from 97 to 98, especially on defense.
Yeah, he is the only defensive lineman that returns from last year's lineup. Had 7 sacks with Toronto last season.
Out of the shotgun again, Damon Allen. That's Jimmy Cunningham. Breaks the tackle and gets up over the 45, but still shy of a first down. Now, the only thing I wonder about this, Glenn, 1:37 to go. If you're defending the Lions now, I would think you're quite content to give them this short stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's no question. I mean, probably for the last 8 to 10 minutes, Rod, that's what they've been playing defensively. Toronto will just stay way off. Their DBs are going to get lots of depth and back up there and make sure that they don't get anything in behind them.
Eventually he's going to have to look deep. He looks over again. It's complete again. Robert Drummond midfield, and the Lions move the sticks. But not only do the sticks move, the clock is continuing to move. It is stopped now with 1:18.
Well, 0-3 is not a pretty sight for Adam Rita, and Don Matthews gets a chance to go back home and host Edmonton, who's playing very well. And it's a short week for Rita, who has to head off to Saskatchewan in their next game.
Damon Allen scrambling around and gets upended at the 50-yard line. Gain of about 5 yards, but 1 minute even on the clock here at BC Place. And a long night for Adam Rita, and more encouraging for Don Matthews, who saw good signs with each game. Obviously not so good at Saskatchewan, but they had a good chance to beat Calgary last week. Al Shipman can't hang on, and it'll be 3rd down and 5.
Now, Don Matthews has done a nice job, and you know the other thing that I've always found, and I worked with Don Matthews in Saskatchewan for a couple of years, he has an air of confidence about him that really trickles down to the whole football team. I mean, he has been told by the media all season that you can't win with a rookie quarterback, that you will lose every game throughout the first half of the season until Kerwin Bell gets back, and even then you guys are not going to be as good as you were last year. And he has said from day one, with true conviction in his eyes, that this team is a good football team and can win.
When he was in Saskatchewan and you were there, I believe you had a 10-8 season, and I only point that out because the Green Riders in the earlier 90s, after you guys won the Grey Cup, had some tough years, but he does get results wherever he goes.
There's no question about it, and you really have that sense of confidence about him all year. I mean, from the day he comes in, he tells you how it's going to be. I mean, there's his career totals, 148 total wins.
Now, the last regular season game for him, or when they got that win, I should say, at the end of the season in October, got 148, and then lost the last regular season game to Montreal before heading into the playoffs. Damon Allen is sacked and 3rd down, and that is it. 42 seconds to go on the clock. The Argos take over on downs.
1st and 10. Allen just trying to buy some time there to try to throw up a Hail Mary and try and get it down the field and see if something happens. And I believe it was Dan Payne that just couldn't hold off the rush from Jermaine Haley. Comes up with the sack. Nice to get a little bit of a stat near the end of the game when you're a new guy in the lineup. Jermaine Haley picks one up.
Jermaine Haley, one of the rarities in that he's an import who played his football, a lot of it anyway, in Canada.
Well, he lives in Coquitlam, right here in BC. Grew up playing for the Surrey Rams, which is right out by the Lions practice facility, and partly with the Okanagan Suns, but he went to high school in California, so because of that, he becomes an import.
And no reason to do anything but put it down. Jay Barker had an outstanding game and goes down to a knee with 38 seconds and counting now.
What a nice game by Jay Barker. We talked about how he had been hit hard in the 2nd quarter, and he could have, I mean, it was easy for a young quarterback to get those big eyes and the happy feet and start scrambling around and panicking, and he really didn't. He stayed poised. He didn't turn the ball over very much, except for the one interception that he threw to Glenn Rogers Jr., and that's a pretty good completion percentage, 355 yards, not a bad night.
And despite this performance, and good ones that may still come, like next week against Edmonton, who knows, Don Matthews did not bat an eyelash when asked to speculate when Kerwin Bell is ready to come back. Kerwin Bell is going back. There's no argument there.
Oh, yeah, he'll be the starting quarterback. No question about it. I mean, Kerwin Bell, when he got hurt, was doing a good job against Montreal in the preseason. Montreal, of course, everyone's talking about being the team to beat in the whole league this year. So, obviously, Kerwin Bell is the starter. But, hey, Jay Barker just won a game for his team as a rookie. That's not bad.
The Toronto Argonauts are in the win column.
It's time for the Scotiabank.
Adam Rita's BC Lions are not. They fall to 0-3, and the trouble continues here for this team in Vancouver. And once again, offense and the lack of it was the biggest reason. But there was offense with the Argos, thanks to that guy. Good night for Jay Barker and Toronto in general, and Don Matthews. And they take it 30-15. Now it's time for the TSN Turning Point, and on this one it comes in special teams, Glenn.
Well, last week he went 88 yards in his debut as an Argo. Don Hitson in the third quarter takes this one 72 in the sequel. And that is tonight's turning point.
Change the momentum of the game again. A cash donation will be made to the Coaching Association of Canada for the training and development of Canadian coaches in amateur sport on behalf of TSN. Hitson finds the end zone again, and the Argos find the win column, 30-15.
All right, welcome back. The Argos winning their first game of the year, 30-15. Jay Barker joins us now. And Jay, let's see, you get knocked out in your first game. Second game, you play well but can't get it in the end zone. And tonight, everything comes together. Talk about your progression and the win tonight.
Well, I tell you, first of all, I want to say hello to my wife back home. Just tell her that I love her and thank her for all of her prayers. I tell you, the Lord just lifted us up tonight. At first, it was a struggle. I tell you, we came out and we couldn't get the ball in the end zone, and we just kept getting frustrated. Said, hey, we're going to get this ball in there. Somehow, we got to get this thing going, and we just seemed to keep working at it, kept persevering, and seemed to finally get the ball in the end zone there with Penner on a little shovel pass.
Jay, Chris Schultz here. You really did a great job in the sense that you had 3 shotgun snaps go directly over your head. You took some pretty big hits, a couple right in the mouth. Tell me a little bit, did you panic at all, or did you get on the other players, or were you able just to keep your emotions under check and know it was just part of the game?
The biggest thing for me is not to get on those guys. The center, Chad, he's doing everything he can. He's got a hard job. Those people don't realize how hard it is for a center. He's up there making calls. He's got to get the snap to me. You got to make a block. That's part of the game, and I realize that. So for me, it's not getting on him, but rather encouraging him, saying, hey, it's part of the game. Let's just get better at it and keep, working at it. But, we kind of got frustrated there because we were making yardage, and then that was putting us out of field goal range or putting us out of, potential of coming in and scoring. But you learn from those things. And Chad, that guy, he wants to win every down and wants to compete. And so you don't get mad at those guys. You just keep working at it.
Jay, how much have you consulted with the veterans, Paul Mazzotti's and such on the team, and how much have they helped you?
Many times. Talked to those guys, watched Doug Flutie on film, trying to figure out, in the NFL, you learn to step up in the pocket. Here it's more just keep drifting, keep getting back so that you can make plays either on the run. And I've lost about 25 pounds since I was up in the NFL, down to about 210, so that's allowed me to be a little bit more mobile out there so I can move around. But go to those guys, get consulting, and ask them, what things can I do to be successful on the field? What did y'all do the last, 2 or 3 years that have made y'all so successful? And those things have helped me tremendously.
Jay, Eric Tillman, when you played at the University of Alabama, you won 35 games in 3 years, but you played for a guy, Gene Stallings, who believes in run, run, run. Now you're playing for an offensive coordinator, John Jenkins, that thinks you should get off the bus throwing the football.
That's right.
Talk about the transition.
It's a big transition. For me, number one, just the CFL game. When I first got out there for practice, seeing those guys running all over the field in motion and going downhill so quick, and you got guys like Mitch and Pinball who are down the hashes before you get your feet set. And so that's a big transition. Coming from Alabama, we were a lot of run, play action pass. I probably threw the ball 10, 12, 15. The most was sometimes 20 times a game, and here we're throwing it 40, 45, sometimes more than that. And it's been exciting. Coach Jenkins has been great. He's really allowed me to come along and try to get things that are real positive for me on the field that I can do and the things that I'm good at. And a guy like Kerwin Bell, he's a leader. He's a guy that stuck with me. He went down. They signed him as a starter. He's worked with me every week on dropping back, seeing things. If he sees something going wrong, he tries to help me out. Guys like that, that's helped me more than anything.
All right, Jay, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
First win in the CFL. Enjoy it.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Jay Barker, the quarterback of the Toronto Argonauts, the 2-time Grey Cup defending champs who get their first win of the year, 30-15 over the BC Lions. We'll be back with more in just a couple minutes. Okay, welcome back. The Argos winning 30-15 over the BC Lions. We went into tonight with 3 undefeated teams in the CFL. Now there is only one. Let's check out other action tonight. Alouettes and Stampeders. from Calgary. And tell you what, the Alouettes haven't had the offense so far this season. They do tonight. Tracy Ham to Matt Cody, 32 yards. That's a touchdown. It's 7-1 Alouettes. Then it's Ham going deep again, this time to Eddie Brown, 33 yards for the TD, 14-1. Calgary would try to come back. Jeff Garcia scrambling around in the pocket. He'll find Alan Pitts, and that makes it 14-8. But the Owls would win this one 29-26, the final score. Tracy Ham finishing with 4 TD passes, so the Alouettes finally do explode. Calgary scored 2 late 2 TDs in the final 2 minutes and 6 seconds, but they fall 3 points short. All right, check out the other game tonight. Edmonton, Saskatchewan. Scoring starts in the second quarter. Donald Narcisse from Reggie Slack, and it's 7-0. And Narcisse does the little dance we've seen so many times. Later in the quarter, it's Mike Saunders who just keeps going and going and going, breaking through 3, 4, maybe 5 Eskimos and into the end zone. It's 14-0. All the bounces going the Riders' way. In this one, it'll be Slack to Saunders. And the Rough Riders all over the Eskies. 28-14 is the final. Edmonton did get a couple of late touchdowns, but they still fall 14 points short. David Archer injured in the first half of that game, and he did not return. So, gentlemen, as we say, the only undefeated team left in the league, the Montreal Alouettes. Does that surprise you?
Well, James, we thought that Montreal would have a very good team going into the season, but still 3-0 and a win in Calgary. It's a huge win tonight for them, and Dave Ritchie has to be very happy. You talk about the great head coaches in this league, and for whatever reason, so many times we don't mention Dave Ritchie. This is a guy that's won 45 games in the last 4 years as a head coach. In BC, he won, I guess, 32 in 3 years, and then 13 last year in Montreal. So Dave's got to be smiling at 3-0, James.
And the Saskatchewan Roughriders, as I said, we keep calling them a surprise.
Yes.
We can't call them a surprise anymore. This is a good team.
We can call them a surprise because they're surprising me. I really didn't think Saskatchewan will get out of the gate and play this well, because you look at this great win they have over Edmonton, and they played the Montreal Alouettes previously quite close. And the first thing I noticed is Reggie Slack. I mean, basically, he's progressed remarkably well as a quarterback. One underestimated quality he has, Reggie Slack has a great arm, but he seems to have the maturity and the stability mentally to make the big plays and capitalize. He's very lucky in one sense, though. He has some veteran receivers at slots and wide receivers, and that's what he's using to his advantage. I'm surprised with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, but I give them full credit, and Jim Daly full credit for a big win.
And I don't mean to harp on the point, but who picked the Rough Riders last in the West? Let's see.
He did.
Mr. Tillman and...
I think we both did.
Hey,
it's early, it's early.
And Mr. Schultz. Yeah, they're only 2-1. Okay, so 30-15 is the final here for the Argos. They get it on the board for the first time this season, their first W, as we check out the Eastern Division standings. The Montreal Alouettes in first place, 3-0, a perfect 3-0. Hamilton at 1-1. They play Winnipeg tomorrow night. And Toronto at 1-2. And the Bombers looking for their first win of the season tomorrow night against the Ticats. As for the West, well, it's pretty tight on top. Calgary, Edmonton, and Saskatchewan all 2-1 after tonight. And at the bottom, those Lions 0-3 and in trouble in the Western basement. Well, allegations of espionage, practices shrouded in secrecy. If nothing else, it has been an intriguing week in Winnipeg. Here's a preview of tomorrow's Bombers-Ticats matchup.
For the first and only time this week, the Bombers' practice was open to the media and public on Thursday. Change in routine and an 0-2 start. The question is Reinbold feeling the heat?
I'm not. You know what? And I'm not. I don't think I'm being unrealistic or.